Market chopping around here to get going this morning as we come on the back of the Fed minutes that were very confusing yesterday in the sense that showed a little bit more of a split in opinion throughout the Fed than I think a lot of people were expecting. We got the higher for, or pause for longer, not necessarily higher for longer, but pause for longer narrative from a few of those officials. We'll touch on that coming up here this morning. More economic data on the way that could sway that as well. That's how the market's looking right now. We get that sell-off into the close yesterday on the back of those Fed minutes, and then a bit of a pop to end the day. But here we are back downside for the Nasdaq specifically, S&P faring a little bit better. Oil higher once again this morning. Energy stocks getting a bit of a lift as a result. A little bit of AI headlines to deal with as well. But I mean, coming on the back of these Fed meeting minutes yesterday, I think there was a little bit of confusion from a lot of people when you look at, you know, individuals who were pointing one direction maybe and then doing a little bit of a flip-flop, it seemed like. But that whole narrative of, let's hold the line, let's wait for more data and see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, what we expected, Brendo, with respect to you know, that jobs number, with inflation still not being at the 2% target, and with, you know, honestly, a major change coming in the early spring at the chair position. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they weather the storm, if one is to ensue. Obviously, some geopolitical tensions starting to manifest in the Middle East, which could have, you know, inflationary pressures, because let's be very straightforward. If the Strait of Hormuz gets blocked, oil is going to shoot up. I think President Trump is probably taking that into consideration. His eye is always on the market. One eye on the market and the other eye on geopolitics.
Yeah, a week ahead of the, or I guess it's less than a week now ahead of the State of the Union coming up next week as well. He was making the rounds yesterday talking about how everyone should watch the State of the Union next week because it's going to be one of the best ever.
I think he's going to tout his accomplishments.
Never. But yeah, here's, I mean, USO, you can look at the futures, oil futures as well. Here's USO gapping back higher again this morning. So again, energy stocks across the board back to the upside. Here's what we have coming up this morning on the economic calendar. We will get some jobless claims data, initial jobless claims, and then continuing claims coming up at 8:30 as well. Retail inventories, there's also this Philadelphia manufacturing index. That can, if it comes way outside the norm or what's expected, that can actually move the market. We've seen it happen before. So we'll bring all that to you at 8:30 this morning. Lots of Fed speak once again today. Kashkari included in that, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. And then more energy data around 10:30. And then the big one going to be tomorrow. Again, keep this in mind. Advanced look at GDP, quarterly print on the GDP coming tomorrow at 8:30. We get the quarterly PCE and then the year-over-year PCE number as well at 8:30. So market going to be definitely keeping an eye on that.
That's going to be important, Brendo. Also, did you see Altman and Dario in India? And they were touting this Indian AI thing. They're both there. So the CEO of Anthropic, the CEO of OpenAI, and they don't like each other. And so when they all held up hands, I guess in some sort of group celebration, those two didn't actually end up they didn't embrace it all. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. And obviously, Anthropic's taking a bit of a different approach to LLMs than OpenAI. But speaking of OpenAI, they raised, or they're looking to raise, to be fair, another $100 billion at an $850 billion valuation, a little bit higher. It was 830 last time, but still south of that trillion, right? Because we were always discussing the $1 trillion valuation. Keep an eye on Microsoft, obviously, with their stake.
I mean, we were sitting here yesterday talking about $100 billion they were going to lose this year, and they're all fine with that. So at some point, I think this has to start to go in the other direction. Here's Carvana. Just hearing 330. Yeah, we're moving back higher here again. Disregard this candle, it looks weird, but some D prints going off here at 8:30, but CVNA trying to get through 330. Earnings not great for them. DoorDash to the upside, good beat. Etsy to the upside, good beat. So a bit of a mixed bag as far as earnings are concerned, but a little bit positive, guys. Good morning.
Yeah, and one name, good morning, that no one has mentioned yet, I don't think. Well, remember we were talking about who just said Deere? No, John Deere, 6% to the upside, another fresh high for them. But you know what? That's what happens when a good company beats. Apparently, though, you don't actually need to beat on the top and the bottom. You don't actually have to guide all that well. You too can be up 8% if you are DoorDash and seemingly I wouldn't even call it like a mixed report. Like most of the top line numbers weren't that good, but they're up anyways. Walmart's actually down after missing, so that's going to be a little bit different for them. Although, if you think about it, with the rotation back into tech, Walmart's been down the last couple of sessions going into this print as well. So, look, the market might be close to flat, but there's plenty of names moving around. You got Wayfair, Carvana have reported they're going to be double digits. Don't forget about Figma, one of the worst performing IPOs in recent memory. I can't really think of anything that's been this much to the downside almost right away. They're up double digits, which isn't as big of a task when you've fallen as far as they have. But again, another name that's going to be in play today. So there are lots of individual names that are going to be on tap. Still, obviously have to be a little bit concerned with the way that the market reacted in the afternoon yesterday. There were a host of names, but overall, we didn't really do a very good job of holding on to the gains from the morning, things rolling over late in the day. There was a bit of a bounce, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt, because some names did bounce at the end of the day to have at least a bit of a decent close, and then there were other names that languished a little bit. I'm staring at you, Intel, held right at the lows despite that Q's bounce. So, weren't able to hold on to the gains after the Fed minutes came out, and there was at least a little tiny teensy bit of talk in there about rate hikes, which I don't think is very likely, but hey, it was said. So maybe spooking the market just a little bit on the Fed minutes. Yeah, again, it's going to be a lot to watch, but you got to be specific names. Earnings, maybe not anything that surprises outside of, well, for myself, the only surprise would be that DoorDash is up despite missing across the board. But at the end of the day, Carvana's down, not surprised there. John Deere, not really surprised there. Walmart's talking about costs going higher. That's fair.
I mean, Walmart beats on top and bottom line, down 3%, but yeah, revenue growth 5%.
The guidance.
5.6%, yeah. Announced 5.3 increase in its quarterly dividend, and a repurchase program of $30 billion. So, yeah, you wouldn't have thought that would be down 3%, but yeah, Walmart down today as well. Other retailers down. Target down 1%, I think, which is fine. We sold just a little bit at these levels, and we're just going to wait for Target. I think Target gives a really nice dividend, so that would be another thing there. And then Costco, Costco's been a great stock as well. Wow, up to that $1,000 mark. That's right, it was there yesterday. Actually, downside play yesterday for Costco. That was a pretty good move. Wow, they got all the way back up there. Eh? Okay, yeah, I didn't realize it was shot through 1,000 like that, up to $1,030, almost back to its highs again for Costco, 1080 or so. We'll see if that one can hold fort here. But yeah, Palantir got the out of the conviction list there from Bank of America. So yesterday was a good story. They were up 3 or 4% at this time. Now today you're down 1.2%, and they gave back almost everything yesterday. Still wound up 2% though, so that's something to look at here. SoFi still down. We can check out what Robinhood's trying to do here as well, $75. There's not too much volume on a lot of these names here today. Robinhood down, Nasdaq's down. I mean, you're starting to, potentially look like we want to go lower. I mean, if we can hang out near the bottoms, there's really no numbers coming through. We have Fed talking initial jobless claims at 8:30. That could be something, I guess, 225 versus 227. Other than that, though, we'll just see. Like jobless claims, whatever. We've seen it be better than expected or cooler than expected. Next thing you know, it rips up, and the market just tanks back again. But it looks like we're starting to head a little lower here today. Silver on our mind. That had actually a decent move here this morning as well. And then I was looking at the dollars continue to move higher. Yeah, so there's silver early up to $71, down to $70 again, and now we hang out at that level. And then here is the very volatile lately, I guess, dollar starting to get going back up to the upside. So not a great thing there, depending on what you're looking at. But there goes the U.S. dollar, nicely ticking higher, like 5 or 6, nice minutes in a row here. Doesn't make for a trend, but if you go into a 30-minute chart, you'll see there it goes, much different. It looks the same, but it's on a 30-minute time frame. So starting to finally break through a little bit here on the U.S. dollar. We'll see what we can do. This goes all the way back to the beginning of the month. So U.S. dollar strength hitting the market here today. So yeah, I mean, that might mean a little weaker gold, a little weaker silver coming through. Both seem to be strong right now. I actually didn't look at gold yet this AM. And on what's been a pretty strong earnings season, you're now through, I mean, it was like 78, still flat on the day, 78% or so of the S&P has reported. So We're getting closer and closer to Nvidia earnings, which is going to come next Wednesday, the 25th. So we're going to be excited for Nvidia earnings. Down 0.43 right now, and range bound. So nothing to see here with Nvidia. Yeah, Tesla's the other one at 400. That would be the other name to look at today. I don't know, having a hard time finding like the greatest setups here with not much going on, but maybe it's earnings today. Where we go. Tesla down to 400, 404 was a decent bottom there from yesterday. Oh no, we were lower than we were yesterday. This is at 404 a couple days ago. That was something to look at possibly. And then if we do get a bloodbath potential, and it doesn't have to be a bloodbath, but all the way down, $6-7, and you're at that 400 level again for Tesla. So yeah, some interesting things to look at as we move forward. Tech names still continue to be beat up, so that's unfortunate here. Excuse me today, but
Visualizer is all earnings names.
Yeah, it has to be. Hims and Hers is on there too.
Yeah, Hims is going to be Hims on there. We already talked about DoorDash. Actually, Tesla gets in there. Oxy reported they're up 5%. Energy looking pretty good. Lemonade's up 12%. Now Tesla, of course, is bumping up as someone else typed them in. Ruby, this is an interesting one because I couldn't find what the story was on Ruby. Anyways. This one up 50%, small cap or above VWAP. We'll keep the ear to the ground to see if I can find out what's going on with that one. It's an energy name, so it could just be like energy stocks going, I believe. So that easily could be it. You got Walmart in there. Hey, Western Digital with a vote. Deere with a vote. CVX. Cassava Sciences. Yes. It's down. I thought Sava was up today. $2. So that could be a small cap.
That might not be. Are those actually
you know what?
Market? I don't know.
Well, no, I think that's actually. Oh, you know what it is? It's all over the place. It spiked higher, came right back down. It was down a little bit, and now it's going to be flat. But no, that Ruby looks okay. So Ruby is an oil shipping company. Okay, so you're gonna You know what? Sometimes when we saw this, we've seen this in the past. I can't remember as recently, probably in a couple of years, when we actually have a good strong move in the energy names in the oil space, you'll start to see some small cappers like take the baton and every now and then just start going, even if they don't have their own specific catalyst. So if that's what Ruby's doing, I mean, the volume's pretty good. It's like 26 million. Just looking at some previous price levels here, it probably wants to hold. You want to hold on to this area where it fell on the 12th. I guess it would be late in the 12th, it'd be 320 or so. So that VWAP looks like it's in the right spot. You're going to want to hold that higher low off of the open. So yes, there's going to be some small cappers to look at. Lots of earnings names to go through. Bitcoin, hate to break it to you, still stinks. We're at 66,000 there. ETH is still under 2K, as that didn't participate at all in the bounce in yesterday's trade. Well, I mean, it did for a little bit, and then went back to its regularly scheduled programming, which is heading to the downside. So there's not a heck of a lot that looks positive in this space whatsoever, but that doesn't mean you can't trade it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the overall market. Lately, there's been a lot of good shorts, especially in tech, and as long as you're willing to do so, you're fine. There's always longs out there. Look at any energy name. I'll be looking at Oxy today on strength. That actually has a chance to break $50, up 5 points after their earnings print. So, the trend is your friend until the end when it bends. And that's also true of the small cappers there, Sharif. Looks like you have a couple, especially that Ruby, that could be in play.
UBI, Neil, looking fantastic here in the pre-market, but when you look at the daily chart on this bad boy, it is your typical small gapper, Brendo, coming from much higher and all the way down. This is the daily here on Ruby, guys. It looks like it IPO'd or went to market August of last year. Multiple splits so far, but this morning it is making the move, as Neil said, 390 high, Brendo, trying to stay above the volume weighted average price. A couple of price spikes up. We'll have to see if this bad boy is trading above VWAP during the midday.
There was a reverse split, 1-for-8 reverse split, it looks like 2 days ago on that as well announced. So just a heads up for our UBI. This DoorDash report, DoorDash coming back in a hurry right now, back downside here on decent volume as well. I mean, pretty impressive right across the board here. Q1 forecast, 31.8 billion versus 29.8 billion. So absolutely crushing that. I mean, profitability was the key for them, it looks like, and I mean, they impressed right across the board.
You almost double, well, not quite double, the profitability, as you mentioned, 141 million bringing home last year, 213 this year, despite, as you mentioned, EPS miss, revenue miss as well, 48 pennies on EPS versus the 59 expected on revenue of 3.96, 3.9 was expected, but again, the take-home money is a little bit better. So, you know, it's always that dichotomy, Brendo. Do you really focus on that top line growth, grow the company, and then worry about efficiencies and profitability later? Or do you start shoring up? It's always about where in the cycle you are. Are you still that growth company, or are you post-growth and now looking to mature and increase profitability? It really depends.
I was having this debate with Ramin the other day about the whole Uber versus DoorDash for food specifically.
Right.
I mean, I think for rides, Uber has, we've talked about it before, Uber has become the verb if you need to go anywhere. But I think for food, maybe it's not quite the same. I think most people might still default towards Uber, but clearly these numbers are saying something else.
That's what I do anyway. And go right into my Uber Eats app. I don't even bother with anything else. But like you and I were talking about this. I mean, I come in the morning and there's 3 or 4, you know, those scooter delivery individuals waiting outside the Rabo, eating outside the McDonald's, because everybody's ordering things directly from Uber Eats, and food or otherwise.
Clearly it's working, as I said, though, coming back in here in a hurry right now, guys, for DoorDash.
Yeah, well, they were saying this, well, I was saying this yesterday that I'd read that, and it's not true for me, but among 18 to 34-year-olds, DoorDash is the most popular food delivery service. So ultimately, that's what the future is going to be. Then it bodes well for them. It's weird because I haven't used DoorDash in a couple of years. I know during pandemic, I think you just sort of tried everything. I was like skipped for a little bit, and then DoorDash, and now settle on Uber like I think the rest of the panel here. But ultimately, look, they have growth. That's great. But it's interesting to see when you miss top bottom, they really love the direction on the call. My only issue with that is it's already sliding back heavier than the overall market. So it's not giving you any good sentiment. Like you've got a bounce after it was trashed on the EPS and revenue misses, so that top and bottom line miss. Then we gap up and we're already giving up this gap. So it's hard to want to like this one to the long side. Like it feels like a bit of a trap gap to the upside. So I'm staying away from DoorDash. If you look over in sympathy, not direct sympathy, obviously they're not the same thing. If you look over in sympathy at Uber, like Uber is kind of just holding yesterday's gains. And this is actually a somewhat semi-interesting name, maybe not particularly at this price level at 72.5 or so. But you do have you've got a double bottom on Uber now. Like there's their flush. They've held that low at the $70. They actually ran away from in yesterday's trade. So you're getting that little rounded bottom to try to break it out. I have eyeballs on 75 to 78 would be the play, because the 78 is kind of a big level on the stock. But that could be one that I'd be more interested in having a look at the next couple of days over the DoorDash. I just feel like I don't want to touch that one. Don't like the price action that we're seeing. Just a lot of easy selling there, despite that gap up.
Yeah, it was. It's like 5% of DoorDash's revenues, which I think is probably less than that. This is just according to ChatGPT, and I didn't put in the data from the most recent quarter. But yeah, it's 5% of their business is from Canadian, so it's not a big deal at all. And I just don't think they have the footprint that they do in Canada that they do in the United States. That's all. So, but yeah, I don't really like the food delivery business, but I don't think the market does either. It's really been hit pretty good to the downside, man. 280 down to 160. Up today, nicely fine. But like just as of yesterday, 2 days ago, you know, we were hitting the lows and looking like we wanted to break. It thankfully that did support it off of the 200 period, or sorry, off of the tariff lows. But I still think it's a sell, man. You know, margin's going to get squeezed. here. It is a tough business, but you know, for today, up 6%, seems like it wants to work, and we're happy with that. So you have a little bit of supply area up here. We'll see if it can break through 210. You know, that's really going to be the key. If you can break through 210, hold this area, then potentially get back up, break the 230, and then you get back up to the highs. But for me, it's just not enough an excitement here about DoorDash to get me, you know, super jazzed up about this name. And you can see it's starting to come back down, man. I mean, we've already fallen $7 or so here in the last 10 minutes. So let's wait to see what winds up happening at open. I would expect this name to probably get smashed back down, you know, into this 170 area, and then you're nervous again. So we're still very far a ways from these guys to go anywhere. I mean, Uber has, you know, many different levers to pull, and you know, obviously some of them must not be profitable, and you know, we know that Uber Freight is trying to get going as well. You know, they have the worrisome of the taxi service and whatnot. DoorDash obviously not into that either, but some of these businesses here with SaaS and everything getting hit just seems like margins getting a little crimped in this space. But yeah, Uber, both names found some good buy areas. But remember, like DoorDash found a buy down here off of the move from tariff time. So Uber potentially has more downside, but I'd rather be an Uber than DoorDash. But hey, familiarity is key. All right, Joe, he's back. He's got options with Joe.
All right, guys. Happy Thursday. Once again, a lot of activity, guys. Glad to be back also, by the way, just at one day. I'm not too sure you heard. We'll talk about it maybe a little bit later. But aside from that, guys, let's take a look at some of the action in the derivatives world. We're going to start things off. This is a couple days ago, so we could take a look at this Rivian call here. We're going to get into some DoorDash and CVNA here momentarily. But I wanted to take a look at this because of the open interest sitting around that $20 strike here on RIVN, and then the volume as well. That's going to be expiring tomorrow, guys, and then you can see that they're almost worth nothing. So these calls, if it happens to have somewhat of a rally, understand what you're doing. Again, that's when we get involved into the values of the contracts, whether it be intrinsic or extrinsic. You can see that your delta exposure is sitting around that 13, and then your gamma exposure 0.118. Not too bad whatsoever, but your at-the-money IV is going to slowly start to increase. But one thing that we do want to know moving forward here, guys, is that earnings reports, right? So we're going to start things off with our Greek metric of Vega, and you're going to see the increase in implied volatility around to 211%. So just be cautious on what you got going on here. But at that $200 strike price, open interest and volume both sitting around 5,000, and then the bid in the ask sitting around $2.10. All right, so 210 bucks there. You're going to be paying if you're going to be looking to purchase those calls. Now, as for your delta, just a little bit under that 10 metric, and then your gamma exposure. 007. Yes, I like that one there. Yeah. So moving forward, guys, we're going to take a look at Carvana as well too. At that $300 mark, you're once again expiring this Friday. Open interest sitting around 18,500. This is on the put side. So what I wanted to see is how are you going to react? Remember, a couple weeks ago we had that short report released on CVNA, some fishy accounting practices. So volume sitting around 3,060. So one thing that I want to note is that you have a $15 spread. But your gamma exposure is relatively light, and then your delta exposure sitting around that 20. But your at-the-money IV, once again, 247.1%. And very rarely do you see contracts that are worth essentially $1,600 return back to that level. All right, so if you are fortunate enough, I think it's time for things to get out. CVNA moving to the downside off of that report, a slight recovery this morning. So when we did get somewhat of a rebound, that's when you can see that you lose value of it. But then after that is when it rebounds, and very rarely do you see that because the majority of the contracts that we go over, it's very difficult, unless you have an outsized move, to regain in which you've lost due to obviously volatility decreases and faded decreases as well. So that's a substantial move. If you happen to be in some contracts on this name, lock in some profit. Obviously, it's come back in here now. Wait until the open and see what we got. But we will be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades, guys.
Thanks, Joe. And it's one of those weird ones. You just mentioned Carvana. Like, we showed DoorDash was gapped up and then trending down. If you have a chart, have a look at Figma, that was gapped up and has been trending down all morning. Then you look at Carvana, which got woodshedded almost down. It was over 20% last night that this was down. And now it's only 9. There's an outside chance that this could have been over, like I think it was 22, 23% to the downside at one point last night. And you could open up not even SSR the way that this is bouncing. This is always an extremely volatile name. And the crazy thing about it is when you look at its price history, like it has a history of doing, outside of earnings, even these types of moves. So, it's going to be a wild one on Carvana. What's so wild about this is it wasn't very bullish on it. I was certainly bearish on it going into yesterday, but I was eyeballing this 280 saying, hey, if it loses 280, my goodness, that could be nasty. And then the buyers just came out en masse and buying it up in front. So that support on Carvana holds, at least for now. It's crazy because it's like 47, it's almost $50 away from that support level. We were just there last night. So that doesn't even seem like a remotely tradable level today. But that is the big level on Carvana to watch. Certainly give it the rest of the week, maybe early next week, to see if it continues to hold on to that. Still believe if it were to lose that 280 level, you do have a bit of a gap fill that would be in tow for them. But it's wild. I can't remember the last time where there was a key price level that you saw on like an aftermarket earnings report. It trades down there, and the next day, it's not that it's not close. It's just not even reasonable that you have a trade off of that. It's gapped so far back to the upside. So a little bit surprised there, but still have that on watch for that 280 level. Really just doubt we get there. Shocker that Carvana bounces heavily. That's what happens when the shorts cover or the believers believe, I guess.
Yeah, CVNA, short float, just 12% right now. But yeah, I think this has a great opportunity to get back, man. I mean, this is one of those, meme stocks that, was a couple bucks, went up to 500, now back into 270 right there. I was sitting here watching it as that report came out, and it was like the numbers are great. I mean, they're expecting, more car sales heading into 2030 to 2035. Like there's some good numbers coming out of Carvana, and I believe that, the system that they have as far as, selling cars and not having that big dealership cost and everything like that, as more and more people become frugal. I like Carvana, and there could be a switch into used cars, of course, as we talk about. There already is there, I hear from the background for Sharif. So, I mean, a lot of people looking to maybe, save a couple bucks, get something a couple years dated. And Carvana, especially with the way technology is, man. I mean, I know they're not making the cars the way they used to, but at the end of the day, they're efficient enough now that, you see, I mean, look at yourself. Some people have cars that are 10, 15 years old, still rolling around on the road. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to upgrade. And I think Carvana would be a great spot for that. And a lot of people don't want to deal with the whole hassle. I love dealing with dealerships and talking with the sales guys. But, a lot of people, I can see that not being a thing. And we don't have Carvana around these here parts. But, obviously the business has something about it. And as it continues to get beat up, like I still think it gets thrown into the SaaS equation a little bit there as well. Like a lot of people not trusting anything that's, worked on an app, or you can look at Open Door and different names like that have gotten hit as of late. So, yeah, I think it was probably way too overvalued all the way up there. I mean, even now with its report, and I don't think this is going to be updated. The PE right there, 82. So still obviously a little bit high for Carvana. So we'll, if they're going to be like into consumer staples stock and sell things, that's probably a little high for a PE. So, worrisomes abound there for Carvana and its valuation. But I mean, I still really like the stock, and I think that there is going to be, more used car sales as projected by them. So, I mean, they're the ones doing their projection, not me. Rivian, this might be the sell again here today. I mean, this stock has been pretty crushed almost every day since earnings. I don't know why it has this move up there in the morning, but, downside. Looking to see if Rivian gets sold off today as well. And then Tesla's down. We have 1 minute till jobless claims. So we'll go back over the desk to check that out. But Tesla down here to 400 as well. That could be a good bounce spot. We said this is kind of like Nvidia, where it's been pretty Although we had that earnings top there again, not earnings top actually, we just had earnings, it was downside. But actually, no, that might have been December top, yeah, okay. But anyways, very sideways here for Tesla all the way back to September. So a lot of these names just not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. All right, man, 35 seconds, 25 seconds until that number. Let's go see what it does for the market.
Here is what we are expecting coming up here in a few minutes. Just be aware there is some Fed speak happening as well. Initial jobless claims, probably the one you want to focus on down here. There's a whole bunch of stuff going to be dumped here at 8:30, however, including import data for December, good trades balance for December as well. Philly Fed manufacturing index for February coming through. There's initial jobless claims. 206,000. So last week we got 229. 206,000 is the number, 1.869 on the continuing claims versus a consensus of 1.87 million that were expected for that. Retail inventories, ex-autos, 0.2% to the upside. That Philly Fed manufacturing index, a green print, 16.3, much higher actually than expected there. The last one, 12.6, comes up. 16.3, they were expecting 7 on that Philly Fed manufacturing index. Again, more Fed speak to come, guys, at 9 o'clock with Kashkari is scheduled. That Philly Fed CapEx index, 14.4, just hearing a miss versus, I guess, the last one there, 30.3 on that. So market not really doing anything digesting this, but looks okay. I mean, pretty much in line with expectations on the job side of things. Slight downtick on the continuing claims, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good sign. I mean, obviously, there's a slight downtick in the market. If there's too much strength in the labor market, then those that were dissenting and sort of thinking that they need to focus on inflation more, and you saw that in the meeting minutes, might be able to push some of those rate cuts out a little bit further, although there wasn't a huge change, actually. When we looked at this yesterday after the Fed, after we had the minutes, I'm just going to quickly jump. The futures aren't really moving off that number. It's going to try and refresh the Fed Watch tool. There it goes. It wants to die on us. Yeah, again, I don't think there's going to be that much of a change. I want to go all the way out to June because June, okay, so slight, very, very slight change here. You're still looking at, I mean, the chance that we have no change by June is now down to 74%. So I believe like the chances of a rate cut are actually gone up for June. So it's like 76%. And then you could have a couple or just a half point cut, I guess suppose would be a possibility. That's now moved up to, if you add that together, about 30%. So yeah, it's actually a slight move in the other direction. We'll see if that gets updated here, but really for all the talk, and you saw it a few places, for all the talk about the Fed minutes about how, oh no, there's a couple people that were saying you have to put in the back of the mind rate hikes. None of that seems to have been priced in after. Just gonna throw that out there. Like it was actually, we're moving in the other direction. So not a lot of action there on the number. You can see the ES futures not really moving around, not breaking trend. We're almost exactly where we've been the last couple of sessions. Like we've been sort of trading right around this like 68.5, like back and forth on the ES. That 7,000, obviously still a bit of a concern, but that's a long ways away. So no way action there. We'll keep an eye on that Fed rate tool. I think you just back to regular programming. We've had numbers this week which have been, movers and potentially good reversions. Yeah, this is more nothing burger.
Yeah, we've seen this happen before numerous times where, the market will move on that number, then just kind of come right back, right? And so we did have a little bit of a move down there. Now you have 3 minutes of straight back, and we're right back to where we were 3 minutes ago. So yeah, the number doesn't really affect anything. Neil showed you the rates, and nothing's going on. I'm looking to short TQs if we can get into 49. I don't know. We're underneath VWAP, we're underneath everything right now. So I think the market looks to go a little lower here this morning. Nasdaq down 0.5%. Some of the big boys, yesterday we were led. We had a good little move by Apple. It's still hovering down to 0.63, so that's trying to get lower there today as well. We had a nice rebound day yesterday in Amazon. That's trying to go a little lower. Google's going. I mean, everything right now is trying to push a little lower to the downside. I'm still waiting for 280. I have like a little bit of money on the sidelines and waiting to buy a bunch of Google if we can get to 280, if that happens. So that's another name that's starting to head down. And sort of like all the big guys starting to go lower, right? I mean, I just last looked at Amazon. I thought it was 205 the last time I looked. Yeah, it was. So, well, maybe not. Those were all those dark pools. But, you know, downside, it was 204 down into 203.40. So it's not, there's not a lot of volume right now in the pre-market, but a lot of the bigger names are starting to look a little lower despite what's happening right now. And the market's trying to bounce a little bit back there. So, yeah, you know, the Fed's not going to cut until June, it doesn't look like, you know, and so if that winds up happening a little earlier, the market will obviously like that and start to run. We already looked earlier today about the US dollar and how that was reacting, so I'm just going to call that up so you guys can have a quick little look here. Still trying to break higher and breaking the month high right now as well, 98. Now, this is not like a stock or anything like that. It's more of a dollar index, so, you know, you're going to wait to see 98 break right there. That's the February high. So we're going to take that all out as we whoosh a little bit higher there. You know, a strong US dollar, not necessarily great for some of these multinationals, which is what the Nasdaq's all about. So if you're going into here in the 1 minute chart, you know, there's the nice little bounce higher, a little bit of action off that jobless claims number, but the dollar continues to get going there as well. And then if we can check quickly on crude, we'll have a quick little look at the April contract here. And I believe it was going higher last time. Yes, there it goes. So now you're up 2% right there. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
There's the break, man, and you know that we're all about the XLE right now, baby. I mean, that was been a recent purchase, and that continues to go, I assume. Yeah, 55.555. Get you a product on sale now, 55.55. Good move higher, boom, blasting right there. We love the XLE on the breakout on the daily chart, and it just continues to sort of pump through with a small little dividend as well, 2% or so on XLE. Look at that move, man, just since the new year. It's absolutely blasting. There's been a lot of strong spots. We're going to talk about John Deere. The industrials have been crazy, but look at the oil space as well, right? And if you go over to a monthly or weekly on the XLE, you'll see that monthly's probably too, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Weekly might have looked a little bit better, but right into there, that $50 break, that's where we finally got involved. Well, we've been involved for a long time, but we bought more on that break there, so that's so far so good. And then Randy's pick, who's brought us our coffee. Thank you, Randy. What a mover for XOM. I mean, this has been a stud. You know, you get that 3% div, you get, you know, capital appreciation this year on XOM. A stock that's been going absolutely nowhere for a very long time. XOM and CVX are now finally having, you know, their moment in the sun there as well. So, you know, congratulations to energy traders. That's been such a huge, it's basically congratulations to every kind of trader besides a tech one. So, you know, good for that. What's IGV doing here today? If you want to talk about blood, this name has bled all the way, man. This is a big stock with big names in it. You know, put it on the back of Microsoft, put it on the back of CRM. A lot of these names can't get out of their own way right now, and until they do, I think that's a continued push there as well. Yeah, Microsoft will be back up. They all will be. CRM, they'll all be back up. This is just, it's a thing, right? Microsoft sells all your data. They have everything. It's just a matter of time before that gets back into favor.
I think Microsoft is far more insulated than something like a CRM. When it comes to, that's the thing, data storage, cloud providers, they're fine. I think Microsoft is getting swept up. I think you're under way more pressure, and you probably should be with the sales force. Even that being said, it hasn't made a fresh low this week. So, you know, that's one name that's got to be out there on everyone's mind. But if you're not paying attention to what's going on in energy and materials, then you're kind of missing out. But there's actually one pullback that we have not mentioned that much. At least I don't think so this week. And that would be just a quick look at some of the financials. Like JP, Morgan, Goldman, I mean, the XLF has pulled back. I don't want to say significantly, but like for the XLF, it's significant. It's not like we're not down 10% or anything from the highs. But if you look at the march to the highs, it went from November to make this high at the beginning of the year. And we're already right back testing it. And here's a couple of interesting stats. Remember, there was supposed to be that 1.2 billion IPO. We're expecting one on Friday. That was one of 3 IPOs which has been pulled in the last week. This month, 21 SPACs. I mean, you know how many SPAC deals? You know how many SPAC deals there were where like a SPAC actually gets the deal?
Like 5.
1.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they're waiting. I mean, that's what SPAC is supposed to do. They have I don't know how long they have.
But if they can't find anything that they like, but they're bringing them out en masse, yeah, nothing like that indicates that there could be a bit of a dip. And if we get a slowing IPO market, that could be another potential I guess that'd be like a headwind in there for some of the banks and some of the deal making, because you see that with Morgan pulling back a little bit here. But anyways, it's just one of those things that you look at, and we haven't really talked too much about the financials. They're not necessarily day trading stocks. We'll obviously mention SoFi and Webull and Robinhood a heck of a lot more than we'll end up mentioning things like a Morgan Stanley, things like a JP Morgan, which while bouncing now seemingly have Morgan Stanley has broken its uptrend from the April lows. So I think this could see the 200-period moving average. I'm a buyer down there, but again, there's plenty of places in the market which are probably moving a little bit more than you realize, and certainly the financials are one of them. OpenAI and well, it's not just OpenAI, but obviously with SpaceX, they need to get out there. Give us that IPO.
Anthropic is going to be the
Anthropic's going to be before.
OpenAI might go downside on its IPO, to be honest with you. I think it's going to open up with crazy.
If we even get it this year, which I think is
whenever we get it.
Yeah, well, whenever we get it. But I think it's an if at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see. Never know.
Maybe something's going to spin off. We have Meta talking today for their watch. So we're going to talk about some Meta very, very soon. Thinking about all new kind of I actually tried on the Meta glasses. They were pretty fun. The Oakleys there over the weekend. They were nice. But okay, there it is, man. 610 right there. We're going to watch out for that low. That's not where we're at, 638, but watch out for Meta here today as well. Like I said, most of these names starting to inch down a little bit. What's up? Always be thankful. I look like a professor today. Well, that's great. We have one professor in the back. That's Sharif. He's always been named this professor. So let's go back over to the desk and talk to two professor-looking gentlemen, Brendan and Sharif.
I know. I look behind you there, Brendan. I don't know who he's talking about, but
we had this conversation about CAT when they reported as well, but a couple people mentioning this one just about to take out the highs. 632, I guess, for Deere here. This thing just on an absolute tear if you zoom out a little bit. Looking very familiar. This is another one with great story. I mean, absolutely everything here, including the forecast to the upside for DE.
Yeah, and another one, I was telling Neil and I were talking off camera about this morning. Cummins as well, really benefiting from that tailwind that's benefited Cat, Deere, Cummins, and a lot of it was made initially that they were helping build out the infrastructure, the data centers, et cetera. But there's a new tailwind now, and it really has to do with generators. We've been talking a lot about it on the show. There is a 2-year backlog for large-scale generators, the type that are used in data centers. Deere is obviously benefiting from that as well. Likewise with Cummins, Caterpillar, and it's nice to have a product, Brendo, that causes a 2-year backlog.
Yeah.
So that typically gives you pricing power.
And I think it's only beginning. I mean, we were touching on the construction side of things with Raheem yesterday with copper as well. It's the same story overall. It's only just beginning. Booking.com, not something we look at very often or ever, really. I mean, it's $4,300 right now, but announcing a 25-to-1 split. So get ready to trade this thing 200-ish, I guess, on rough math. BKNG, that's the weekly chart. Hasn't done terribly well going into earnings here, but along with their earnings report, 25-to-1. So this thing going to be a significant haircut as far as the price goes, but something that we could end up finally being able to look at on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. It's been interesting. I've been watching the airlines really move up lately. Good pricing power for them. We've been talking about how they're diversifying, trying to cater to the more affluent client, right, with the changing of the way that they're structuring the seats, et cetera. I think Booking and the like probably will look to do that as well with some higher margin vacations.
Yeah, I mean, we're back at decent levels right now for this thing. Obviously, again, it's $4,300. But soon to be something that we might be looking at, guys, Booking.
So thank you for that, guys. Walmart's making a move, but SMCI is also making a bit of a move here. And all I'm seeing is some random, like a couple of random posts on X. I always want to say tweets about SMCI and Celestica sharing Anthropic TPU rack builds. So that's the only thing I'm seeing. I don't have a firm story overall for SMCI here. If we do see something hit the wire that's more definitive, then we'll let you know. I don't see anything to really cause this move that we'd feel good about. But also during, obviously, Walmart's calls going on, they're now green as it goes back to the upside. So much for any chance to have this one fall any further and be able to scoop up more shares. On a monthly chart, Walmart hasn't even had a consolidated month in a while. Like you've had this one in here, and then you got that one, but really we're just jumping around. Like this is a consolidation where you actually go sideways for a while. And when a stock that you like gets boring in other people's eyes or is in one of those modes, or does one of these hefty pullbacks, obviously that's going to be a bit different because that's that April tariff tantrum when you're just buying quality. It's getting very, very frothy. And Walmart, super strong, but watch out for that SMCI. Again, we'll keep our ear to the ground. That's been a beaten up stock. So it certainly has a lot of room to run if there is an actual story for it. Let's see if we can find some upgrades and downgrades with Joe.
Oh, we could definitely find those there, Neil. We'll get into some of the NS actions right now, guys. We're going to start some things off with some downgrades, if we're going to call it that. We're holding buy ratings on all of these, but some of them have substantial price cuts here. So we're going to start things off with CVNA, Carvana, guys, with a price target being lowered from $535 to $455 by BTIG Research. You're down almost 10% here this morning. And then DoorDash, trading relatively well here, starting to pull back, giving them back the majority of that move, guys. We're trading around 187 currently, but you had a price slash of 275 to 265 by Needham. Once again, you're up 8.4%. And then Domino's Pizza, when was the last time you had Domino's? Still holding that buy rating, guys. $530 was that initial target, but getting it decreased to $500 by BTIG Research. And then TKO Holdings, oh no, getting knocked out here, guys, with a lower price target of $237. The initial one was $250. Once again, all still holding buy ratings. You're just getting a reduction within the price target. Now, looking at some upgrades here, guys, we're going to start things off with Chewy at the top of the list, going from a market perform to outperform, and a price target of $28 by Raymond James. You're up almost 4% here this morning. And then we have VZ Verizon Wireless, guys, outperformed to a buy rating. You're up 1% here this morning with a price target of $58. And then we have eBay as well, too, reporting going from a sell to a neutral with a price target of $88 by Goldman. You're up almost 8% here this morning, 7 3/4. And then QuantumScape as well, too, guys, getting the nod, going from a reduced to a hold, but a price target of $8.30 by HSBC Securities. You're relatively flat on this name this morning.
Yeah, so eBay after that report, you see that up 6.5%. It's going to be Etsy that's up more because Etsy's selling the secondhand fashion app to eBay. So both getting a bit of bounce, but Etsy with a bigger bounce. That $88 price target, that's literally where we are right now. So if you're bullish on them, but you only like the price to where it is, yikes. But look, again, an upgrade's an upgrade. It just means that you like them more than you did before. But if you're not holding on eBay, it's not a high volume name, so it's probably not the front of mind for any day traders. But just have a quick look at that 88 level. It's odd that that's a price target, but it has been resistance anyways. It was a 50-period SMA on the daily. You're already pulling back, and I think losing it here a little bit. But if this can actually close above 88, trade above there in the open range, that gives you a chance to be able to go. The problem with eBay, 300,000 in volume, that's super low. Maybe some comes in at the open, which can give you an indication. But yeah, doesn't really matter the upgrade, downgrade, or the price target. That 88 was significant regardless, it being the 50 SMA. But that's on the south side of it, unfortunately. And as I said, Etsy, who is selling that business to eBay, is up 20% to eBay's 7. So much, much better price action for them, but about the same volume, pretty low volume.
I know we had, we had a good McDonald's print. When you're thinking about, fast food chains, everything, you're thinking about McDonald's. They're at all-time highs. And I think when you're thinking about pizza, Domino's could give a look at that kind of franchise model. Obviously, we're not talking about the same thing as far as real estate is concerned, as Domino's doesn't have the restaurant exposure. But we just saw DoorDash come through with like a good delivery outlook on their business. We talked about people choosing to eat out more, frequently and order in, right? So just people have money to spend. The consumer has discretionary income to spend on food, and Domino's is probably the cheapest. I don't know, around here, I think you can get like medium's like $10. Like, anyways, what I'm getting at is I don't think they're very expensive, and they do have a pretty good foothold in this space. I mean, Papa John's would be another one, PAPA. But these guys report, I know it was on the downgrade side, but they're reporting February 23rd, and just with a PE of 20, you know, this name could surprise to the upside. The short float on Domino's is 7%. That's actually pretty good. So I'm looking for them to beat in a couple days. So I would say Domino's right there. You know, you get downgraded 4 days ahead of earnings. I feel like they may want the price to get a little lower just so they could potentially buy some. So hold me to this. Let's check out DPZ on February the 23rd, right? So we'll check this out on Monday and we'll see, what that report looks like. And Domino's, just going with the whole theme of, people are eating out, ordering in and spending more money on food now. And, it's a little bit of a cheaper alternative would be Domino's. And, you saw McDonald's, make new highs there on their report. And there it goes, and still trying to hold upside as well. So I think the space has something there. PAPA, Papa John. Oh no, Papa John. Oh, there it is. Yeah, pizza, PZZA. So this has been part of discussion for buyout and all that kind of stuff as well. So we do know that there's some interest in here, but this is what the space is looking like. So I don't. Easy to downgrade some of these names as they continue to go lower, but you're at a key level here for Papa John's as well. But we'll just wait to see. Let's just check back on Domino's. I don't think it's a horrible idea to take a flyer if it gets a little lower and hopefully earnings are beat and then you squeeze up 8% short float. I think it can squeeze Domino's Pizza. It's $8.50 right now. Boy, how time flies. But you know what else is flying? It's Bitcoin. It's flying to the downside. So we'll have to go mark it red on iBit right now. As you can see, crypto 65.8. See ya. As it's going to the downside right now for Bitcoin. And it's very, you can put the super chat up whenever you want there, Andre. But yeah, breaking through $36. You're near some of these lows. Again, on the subject of cat deer, it was there. Can't read that fast, but we'll see if we can get that back. There it is. Thank you so much. So the industrials, the big beautiful bill added yes, I know. For capital equipment, there's also a 50% tax there on structures. So deduction, not tax. So that's part of the story, right? I mean, President Trump has been very, very clear about the MAGA statement and creating many of these American companies with some tailwinds instead of headwinds. And right now, those are just examples of that, right? We saw Cummins as well. That's CUM, isn't it? I believe CMI. There it is right there. These have all been, I think GE as well, catches a tail wind on this as well to the upside. Boeing, just America first. Industrial names, right? And so you're talking about capital equipment. So equipment makers, good job there. We already seen Caterpillar making huge moves to the upside. I think these all continue higher, and they all pay a dividend as well, right? I mean, the dividend percentage is getting weaker and weaker as the price appreciates, but you'll take price appreciation over dividends all day. So there it goes, man. Cummins a nice move higher as well. And to that extent, right? I think Boeing is another name that, although obviously not an equipment maker to the same extent as that, I just think that, again, heavy equipment, heavy machinery, Boeing continues to work as well. And the big, beautiful bill does give. I mean, what about Nucor, right? I mean, here's a steel producer. NUE is Nucor. So there it is right there. This is another big name that can continue. The number one steel provider in the United States continues to work upside there as well. So if you're going to talk about you need steel to build bridges and all this kind of stuff, here's Nucor going higher. So there's been so many good plays in this space, and thank you for that super chat, as it's now 8:53. But the industrials have been good, man. XLI has been a great name as well. So probably better move. I don't know what is F. Here we got another super chat. If you want to put that one up there, Andre as well. I don't know what is FEZ. Euro. Oh, Euro. Okay, Euro ETF.
Euro ETF.
Okay, so that's good. And then the IWD.
Speaking of Europe, only because you mentioned Boeing.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's the whole, if Airbus is going down, Boeing should be going up or can get a bounce. Airbus down 7% after their earnings report. And I don't know, potentially, I'm not going to hit the flat bottom break because no one's going to, it is what it is, probably do it too often. But
value.
Weakness over here could be good for Boeing. So this is Airbus, obviously. And FEZ, that is the...
No, I was going to say, FEZ is Euro.
This is the Euro 50 ETF.
But this IWD is Russell 1000. I don't like IWM we have, IWD. We don't really. So these are like the third or fourth tier of stocks, right? So, but yeah, they continue to work out as well. Most of these companies will have anything in the Russell 1000 is going to have probably a lot of debt attached to it, right? So you got to be careful with that right there on the IWD. But yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for all of those super chats. It just goes to show you, like, you know, emerging markets, again, like emerging markets are crushing domestic. Well, it depends if you're talking about the United States or not, depending where you're located. But EEM just continues to also crush, right? I mean, I have to look at the relative performance this year, but it really outperforming over the last couple of years, the EEM. There it is right there. Sorry, it was still on IWD. The EEM just absolutely rocking, man. $55 on January 1st, up to 60, 61. That's a pretty nice move. That's 10% in about a month and a half on emerging markets. You're not getting that in the S&P, right?
Brazil's even, and if you look in
there's so many good
individual ones, like Brazil's 15 or 16%, and actually breaking out at the beginning of the year. That's EWZ. So again, there's opportunities abound for sure. There's always strength that you can look for if you're doing a deep enough dive. All that being said, I think there's going to be a tide change. Certainly, we're not going to have these beaten up American tech names forever. You will see a bounce back. Some of them have fallen a little bit too far. Others, I don't know, maybe have a little bit more to go. But diversification does matter for sure. Just want to quickly double back because we were saying how the market was not moving after we got those numbers. Well, there it is. Back to the futures. November 5th, 1955. What an important date in history. And we're still. It's not that we're moving now, but we are getting at least a muted bounce. Like we've managed. Like the SPY just pulled back into the volume weighted average price in here. And then if you're looking at the Qs, and if you're like, oh, well, you're not looking at the ES, it's just easier for me to type in QQQ. Like I can do the same thing, go over to like my 60-minute chart, which is showing you not a lot of movement. We're holding the range, but we've retraversed the range that we were sitting in back into the top end. But I'd still be a little bit concerned that when I look at the Nasdaq in particular, like this was sort of our bounce spot yesterday when we had that flush. Flush is the wrong word. We had the trend change in the afternoon. We were able to catch a bid here, and now you're just barcoding off of that level. We lose 24.8. I think we could be in at least a little bit of trouble. Ooh, and I see Hamster in the chat. Maybe this isn't the first mention of SLV, but that's the first time I've seen someone mention SLV, but you didn't type the $. I'm gonna throw that out there, Hamster. Make sure, $SLV. You want to talk about silver, heck of a lot easier for it to be on the visualizer if you go $ in the chat before that ticker. And to be in the chat, remember, it's a subscribers only chat so that I can do something like this. And I will go $SLV and fight the good fight to see if that's gonna make the top 10 on our list of names that is constantly updating all day. And there it is. Silver's probably not on there. I mean, there's enough earnings. On a day like we have a bunch of earnings names to get through, and then some small cappers moving, you're probably not going to see silver, which is only 1% right now on that list. But this is where we turn the $71 area, 71 to 71.5. That is where we've seen the resistance in the last week easily after that gap fill. So maybe this has a chance to break back out. To me, if it's not taken out 72, then that's not a breakout, and I'd still be waiting for like a mean reversion opportunity. There was one late, and it was a pretty clean one yesterday. I was too early on it yesterday. We talked about that. I did a mean revert trade on ZSL, and it just was a little bit too early to try to catch that curl. It ended up being a bit of a late day move right in here. So that's what I like to play. Wait for a long 15-minute trend to set up on silver, and then play the break of the trend. That's going to be my jam for sure. Bless you to Shriek, but we're going to head back up to the desk. Looks like we have just about time to go over some futures, go over our free watch list as well, a bunch of earnings names there. Despite the fact that we didn't get moves from the market on our jobless claims, there's plenty of movers and gappers on earnings.
All right, I was just reading a couple of other things here. There's a crazy weekly chart. If you zoom out on Etsy, like this candle that's forming on Etsy was initially very, very weak. And then they come out with this earnings report. and completely reverse it. So the weekly chart was a big doji to the downside, and now it's completely reversed back higher. So wild action. It's been 4 days in a row here, straight downside for Etsy into the report after the close last night. And then here we are back to 51 all in one shot. So better than expected. I mean, everything looks pretty good for Etsy right across the board. So not a lot of volume behind this move, but decent report.
And a good way to kind of generate some cash. I know they sold that Depop company that they had to eBay, for $1.2 billion in cash, not stock. That's nearly 5 years after acquiring it for $1.62 billion. So nice to have the cash on hand, but clearly not a profitable acquisition or sale there. The sale represents a loss in the original price, as I mentioned, so that's a bit of a tough look. But the market was really looking past that, as you mentioned, Brendo. They were looking more about the earnings report, which was quite healthy. $1.41 on EPS, well ahead of the $1.34 on $2.97 billion in revenue, above the 2.88 by almost 100 million there. Gross merchandise volume, one of their major metrics that they track there, up 10%, 21.5 billion. So not a bad report, but looking at the chart, especially like many of the other companies that we saw during COVID highs, it may never see those levels again.
Of course not. I can confidently say I've never used that website before in my life. Really? For what?
To buy a present for my cousin's son.
Okay.
So his name is Christian. So I got him one of those like little custom-made things that he can.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. A couple of good people mentioning this in the chat, but May 29th, CME going to launch 247 crypto futures trading. So. IBIT, as John was mentioning, back to the downside here so far this morning. All right, let's talk about everything else. If you haven't done so yet, grab the watch list, but let's first check the futures.
So here's the deal, guys. Remember we were talking yesterday about that shelf we were using as support. We used it as support back on January 14th, again on the 29th, and then again on February 3rd. That shelf is 687, right? 687 to 688. Well, we closed a little bit below that. 686 and a third is where we closed out yesterday, having gotten all the way up to 689, but we couldn't close above there. So that resistance shelf that we've been talking about remains elusive. So that's what we're going to say. We're going to say yesterday's closing print, we're 1/3% below it right now, 686 and a third. If we really get going, we're looking at yesterday's high at 689. If we continue to sell off, we're going to look to 683 as our first level of support. We found support there yesterday. We sell off even more, we're looking at 680.
A lot of back and forth action so far on earnings names so far this morning. We'll just jump right into things here. Walmart back to the upside, red to green already. The earnings call was at 8 a.m. Wasn't anything significant as far as comments that I saw floating around. Clearly, they were talking about something that impressed as far as the market is concerned. However, overall, the report's missing on a few fronts.
It did, but it's been very aggressively moving, so we're moving up lately, clearing that $1 trillion valuation. So, lofty expectations. Let's go through the metrics. U.S. comparable sales grew 4.6%. That's ahead of the 4.2 expected by analysts. It shows resilience despite the tariff concerns that we had earlier in the year and the pressured consumer who's looking to obviously diversify and get some deals. Overall revenue just shy now of $200 billion, 190 and 2/3. That's slightly above estimates. EPS though, that's where the miss was. 275. They're guiding. For the year forecast, they're guiding 275 to 285. The street wanted 296, with consolidated net sales projected to grow 3.5 to 4.5%. That is a little bit below the 5% that the street was looking for. But we're going through a CEO change, right? So this Doug McMillon guy, he's out. The U.S. chief, John Furner, he's in. And apparently, according to analysts and making predictions, his tenure is going to be more focused about making this really online and including AI, right? And they always make the point that Amazon has their warehouses. Walmart has their stores, 5,000 of them in the States, I believe, or in North America. And so they want to use those stores sort of as a launching pad to kind of compete with Walmart in the same day delivery.
I saw that note this morning on Amazon versus Walmart. It was Amazon overtaking, as of this report, overtaking Walmart as the top revenue company in the U.S. It was a crazy number, 716 billion or something like that, 712, I believe, or something along those lines. So regardless, I mean, not really significant when it comes to who's the top as far as revenue is concerned. It's how much you're taking home at the end of the day. I mean, Amazon, we've talked about many times, very, very tiny margins when it comes to that. Walmart a little bit better here, but I mean, we're testing highs right now, so they said something good.
Walmart would only dream of having a high margin business like AWS in advertising. Brando, did you see what their advertising revenue is going up? I'm talking about Amazon, of course. It's ridiculous. It's the top line number for Amazon's revenue is almost the same as the top line number for AWS, and they're very similar in terms of margins.
Yeah.
So, still obviously, Amazon a lot better.
Nice reversal, guys, for Walmart here so far today.
Oh, it's a great move for Walmart. But the disappointing thing, look, I mean, it's only disappointing for anybody that wanted to buy it off the 50-period moving average. It's not disappointing that it's bouncing on the call. It's a simple fact that you're looking sub 120 for 118 half, 119. Like that was the 50-period. So that would have been a chance to buy the dip. It's going to still be expensive a little bit here for Walmart when you start talking about the PE. And ultimately, when the guidance is cautious and you are relatively expensive, you tend to get the drop. Just didn't last very long, unfortunately. So there's no 118 to be had for a bounce play on Walmart. So that was the level of interest for me. Maybe there's something to see with the volume weighted average price. If we continue an upward trend, that's a good way to join the trend. So without a key level to trade off of for Walmart, I can only look at VWAP, or maybe it establishes some kind of an upward trend after the open that can get played into. So I'll be looking for an opportunity there, but. Yeah, I wanted the 50 SMA, and when we sat down, was coming in this morning and sat down, I really did think that was an actual chance that it would get tested. No longer Walmart. I guess the dip buyers were a little quick.
Look, I'm the opposite. I was like trying to sell this thing here, and I wrote down 126, but the conference call is now concluded. So now they're at 127. I would almost just adjust that to like a 128 or so area right now. Great pop on earnings right there on the call, but it was still a downside play, right, off of that report. And so we're still now we're up. But this is the whole thing. So now it's kind of starting to change a little bit. Now we have to find out where the top's going to be. So yeah, that 126, why I was interested in it was yesterday's closing price, and we were just chilling out down here, obviously, when we're writing the note at 123. I wasn't expecting a move to 126 there on Walmart. So that's the problem when you sort of rethink about these things. But the PE is 48. So it's an expensive price to earnings multiple right now for Walmart, and that's generally... that's why Costco apparently got hit until it didn't. And yeah, I could see Walmart giving back a little bit here today, not to be up, but okay. I mean, the market likes the report, I guess. They didn't, and then the conference call, we have to go over maybe what was said there. But yeah, I would still say a 126 break lower still makes a little bit of sense to me there. What does that look like on the 5-minute chart? Yeah, so here we go. This is part of it, right? You're coming up right now. This has been, the trend to the downside right there. Yesterday we broke this down. That was yesterday this name was 134. So the fact that it was down to 122, probably a little bit too much to the downside, so hence the pop, which is what we were waiting for. So now that we got that pop, I think I was saying like 128, 127, something like that to see if we fade back in. But it's kind of a death wish to trade this super early. Like we don't really know what these imbalances, and right now there's no Nasdaq names on the imbalance, but we don't know. This could come out a huge sell or buy or whatever. It's already done 3.5 million shares. Yo, what's up, Randy? I already actually crushed that coffee, so if you are in the business of another one. Ooh, you got antlers going on there? Hello? Hello?
A different look.
Would that be nice if you could go there? I'll take a grande. Okay, Pike Place.
You're not actually going to go, are you?
No, of course he's not going to go. Come on, Randy.
He has that look
right
on his face. I'm like, I never know with Randy. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, actually, no, a latte would be fine too. No, flat white, actually, Randy.
That's
flat white.
That's what you owe.
That's what I get, a flat white. Well, we can have a flat white here, Randy. You know what?
Oh, you can do. Yeah, you guys.
I'm gonna try a flat white.
I'm too
over here. Brendan always gets the flat white.
The espresso is what I kind of.
Yeah.
I'm feeling.
Yeah, the espresso. That's what the flat white is there. Brendan, we had a request in the chat to find out the last time because Brendan has the best hair in the business. So people wanted to know because this used to be like a little segment that we used to do.
He cuts it every day, in my opinion, but.
I don't believe it's every day, but it's probably weekly.
More often
I would say weekly. So, Brendan, can we get an update, please?
On what exactly?
Last time you got your hair cut, apparently.
It's been a while, actually.
What?
No, it
Oh my
hasn't.
God.
Look at the. No.
We had literally the best hair.
Zoom that in, please.
I think
3
this is-
weeks?
I think this is actually week 4. I think this
What?
is actually. I'll have to
Oh,
check, but I think this is
wow.
actually week 4.
Okay.
I had a very unfortunate event. My barber moved to Hawaii.
Oh,
Okay. So have you found a new one yet,
To
or
Hawaii.
Good
Yeah.
for them, man. Hey, good for them.
I'm very upset.
have you found a new one, or?
I did, but
I'm not happy with it.
on the fence. On the fence still.
I think I might know why it's on the fence too. So let's go back over to the desk and talk about stock number 2. Hey, I love figs. Figs is
I
like
love
one of the
figs.
best.
I don't like the stock.
Being Italian, we had a fig tree. Growing up, and my Italian side, big time with figs. So let's go over and find out, what these tasty treats are saying today.
I had a crazy dinner last night.
What'd you eat?
Elk
Elk.
with this crazy like fig-based sauce. Oh my God, it was insane.
Hold on,
It was
does
insane.
elk count as venison?
Yeah.
Or no? It does. huh?
Well, no, that's deer.
No.
Deer.
Okay.
Elk is obviously its own animal, but it was insane. It was insane. Anyway, fig looking like it's going to give all of this back potentially here. I mean, we're $1. What is this? Almost $1 away from the highs from yesterday. So, yeah, it was good, but
Yeah. There were some cost issues with respect to the
Yeah.
IPO, Brendo, that kind of held back the earnings report a little bit, but they are reporting that users who are spending money are spending more money. More on that in a second. EPS coming in at 8 pennies, just barely ahead of the 7 expected. So a modest beat there with revenue 303.8. That's a nice beat ahead of the 293.15. And it also grew at 40% year over year. They posted, though, a net loss, and this is kind of what was mentioned in Brendo, $226.6 million net loss. Compare that to last year when they actually made money, $33 million and change. A lot of that, again, is tied to the one-time IPO dynamics and accounting items. Despite, that whole nice move there in extended trading, they're down about 35% year to date. Now, here's the deal. Figma Make, which is kind of their AI-generated design tool, is powered by Anthropic and Google, and they have weekly active users using it, jumping 70% quarter over quarter. That's not year over year. That's a sequential quarter over quarter increase with gross margins holding steady. Brendo, their gross margins are 86%. If they can increase that top line number, that should be crazy. They're going to start enforcing, though, because people are using it quite aggressively, monthly AI credit limits. Remember that napkin AI that we were using? Kind of
very expensive.
very expensive. That's going to be similar to this.
Yeah, it adds up very quick. More importantly, confirmed. You can't see this, but it was January 22nd, guys, was the last one.
Officially, it's been a month since I heard that.
January 20th. Good
I
memory.
wish-
Good memory.
I wish my hair looked that good after 1 month.
We have now created a new segment there. So we'll check back on end of March. See if he's.
Oh, he'll have a haircut.
It'll be another month.
Probably get
right?
one next week.
Oh yeah. I think a month is decent.
I don't trust, like, look, Figma, you can say all you want about the margins in the Figma Make. And don't get me wrong, it's right. If people are using it more and they have some power users who are spending an exorbitant amount of time, then monetizing them makes a ton of sense. And I think that's the right decision, no questions asked. But adjusted, yes, they did have an EPS, but they went from swinging an actual profit to now not. So it was still a net loss. And it spent all morning long giving it up. This is usually the exact kind of earnings name that I prefer to stay away from. There's your gap. You don't hold any of the support from the aftermarket. You're just trending down. Like if you filled in the entirety of it at 25, but this was something which was more exciting if it was poised for a potential breakout above this 30 area. And when that's not the case, like you're just trying to bottom pick, and I don't know, like you'd have to come back into like a significant prior high, which is 25, or show me that VWAP can hold, something along those lines. This one feels like congratulations if you shorted it in the pre-market. But even then, I feel like that's too far to chase for the short. So this is going to be a stay away. Maybe that 25 comes into play. I seriously doubt 30 is going to be a breakout. Maybe you can look for that next week or next month. But I do think that would be a more significant price area if it can manage to even do it at some point.
I mean, at some point, stocks are so beat up that they do go back up to that upside. And, you know, we talked about the IGV and software as a service and, you know, what's been going on with all of that. I'm just trying to find out what the short float is, 9.7%, of course, with no PE. But, yeah, you know, a beat on the top and bottom line. And that, you know, that 86 or 87% number there is huge as far as the margins are concerned. You know, Figma was a buyout target before they went public by Adobe, you know. So why could they not be again right now? I mean, if they're growing user base, I don't know if the board would accept a buyout, but it's about like a third of the price that Adobe's agreed to pay before. I thought it was, let me just check, because I thought it was about 30 billion was their initial deal for this name. Where's the market cap right there? Yeah, wow, bang, not bad, half price. Sorry, a third of the price. So between 25 to 30 billion, its market cap right now is 12 billion dollars. So, you know, maybe there's some sort of a, you know, get together that they can do and they'll circle back on the buyout. You know, would make a little bit of sense if they could get some synergies between the two of them. I mean, Adobe's in no real position right now, stock price wise, to go ahead and buy anything. I don't think they would spend cash, but they could do it in shares, which would be fine. I mean, you would dilute the shares of Adobe, which whatever, the market's diluting them anyways, and then you just get back in, grab your, you know, a competitor, put them under your umbrella. I don't know if that's going to be something that happens. You never want to, you know, buy a stock because you think it's going to get bought out. But at the end of the day, this could be one that you trade leaps with or something, if you do believe that there is some sort of an action there, because it's not going to get bought out at 26 bucks, right? The board would have to accept probably 50% or more of a premium on this name. So yeah, Figma could be something. I don't really love the stock. We'll see what winds up happening today. It's 3 million shares. Thank you so much, Randy. Oh, the flat white is here with the espresso as well. Thank you, Randy, for all of that. But yeah, Figma. All right, something that's up Randy's area there, Carvana. So let's go talk about CVNA with the guys in the back.
We were just talking about Microsoft. Yeah, I mean, Apple's back to the upside right now as well. I was just double checking on Apple here also, but yeah, let's talk about CVNA, one of the others that was having a pretty good morning here this morning. Despite, you know, a bit of a mixed report depending on how you look at it. I zoomed out here for this specifically. That's, what is that, 2021? The middle of 2021, 365, 370 came into play. We're chopping around here once again.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been no shortage of controversy with this name. Every other month or two, we get a new short report about some accounting irregularities and business structure. Let's talk about their actual results, though. They brought in about, you know, $5.6 billion in revenue. That is a 58% surge year over year, and that beats the analyst estimates of 5.27. EPS, though, $4.22. That is far, far above the $1.12, but it was heavily influenced by a one-time accounting item. More on that in a second. Net income, again, $951 million versus the $159 they brought home last year, but again, influenced by that one-time accounting number. Profit was boosted by, yes, that $685 million valuation allowance gain or deferred tax asset. That's what kind of offset EPS and net profit. It was partially offset, though, by a small decline here of $67 million in the fair value root warrants. The core takeaway, though, headline earnings strength, not entirely operational. A lot of it to do with previous accounting. Now let's talk about their actual business. Retail unit sales hit a record 163,500 vehicles sold, Brendo. Reconditioning costs, though, were a little bit higher than expected, so that ate into margins because what they do, they buy the older cars, they fix them up, they send them, they put them on the lot to be resold. There's reconditioning that has to be done along the way. Retail depreciation as well. Sean was mentioning this earlier. He was mentioning how cars are dropping in price. Well, that affects the car dealer as well. When they buy the car, obviously they have to hold it for some time before it's sold, and it's depreciating all the while. So that hit them a little bit here. The company did lower their long-term annual growth rate, though, Breno. They were looking at 20 to 40%. Now they're saying a little bit lower, 18 to 38.
Just a heads up on the overall market. I mean, I'm not sure the market even cares about Qashqai anymore, but Qashqai is speaking right now, guys.
I think he's voting anymore. I don't think he's a voting member right now, Qashqai, but sometimes he has moved the market before. He had the nickname Crashqai at one point, but again, if you're not a voting member, then you know, you like the hot air, but you're not going to necessarily move the markets as much. Obviously, a smart guy and a great name. Carvana, I don't want to say that we filled in the gap because that would be disingenuous. Like it filled in a decent portion of the gap and almost the entire way back to the upside. They didn't give us any guidance, unfortunately, here. It's a little bit surprising to me. I can't remember the last time I don't think we've seen it this earnings cycle where we've had a gap down this big and we could be testing green pretty much instantaneously off of the open. So you got to alert to the 370. It doesn't have the short float that it used to. If it was over 20, if this was still like 20 to 25%, like something a little bit bigger on the short float, I'd be thinking, yeah, forget everything, wait for it to start breaking out, because shorts will probably cover if it breaks to 370, and then just go with that goal. I don't think it's necessarily that type of stock anymore. I know I came in today looking at last night was the plan to look at the 280 level. Again, that's just simply not going to be a trade unless you bought it last night. It's certainly not going to break down underneath that level. So I would let it see the test of the 200 period SMA here up at 360. 370 is going to be a big level for it. But if it were to fail a breakout above 360, that could be a little bit of a reversion play for Carvana. What I'm looking at today is going to be IBIT again, Palantir actually going to be on watch. We're going to talk about energy in a quick little second. But Carvana is going to end up being a pass for me. It's like there's a lot of these earnings names have moved so far away from what you thought would have been the key prices. Figma's a good example of that as well, that you're just going to have to be patient here at the open. I'm certainly not chasing this move. Only 5% down now. It was 23% down last night. 23.
Yeah, and it bounced off of a very, very key level. I mean, that's part of the problem right there, 280. Like, so we've, come into 280 last February, right? So that's a whole year, and it basically round-tripped again. Let your money just sitting there if you didn't get out. All the way back to 280. We touched 280 right there in June. Then we touched 280 back in October, again, November on that earnings report. And then we touching it again yesterday and back upside. So this is a pure meme stock, man. This is just the buyers, it's down. They say we're buying Carvana. It's a 12% short float. I would not be surprised at all if this thing goes green. And I think when it does, you punch the long. So right into there, this is going to sound ridiculous to do this, but 366, like the fact that it was down, it's up $100 right there from its lows. If we can take that out, like that's something that I'll be looking to see what winds up happening there. And I don't think the punch long is going to give you a whole bunch of dollars, but I do think that, holding that high, if we don't, there is an explosion move there, because that would be 300. So I think you can get like $10 probably at least on that kind of a move. So for me, it's puzzling. I mean, we always say when there's a gap, play to VWAP. So right into here, it's always nice when the 200 and the VWAP kind of join, but I do understand that we probably don't have 200 minutes of data starting from 7 o'clock right here, but we're starting it there. So I think 330 to 325, like those are the dip buy areas. And then once you break 325, you can get out of there. So let's just see what happens. We have now a couple more minutes until these imbalances. Carvana's already out because it's a New York name. So let's have a quick look to see if there is anything on here for CVNA. I don't see it. So if it's going to be under 100,000, it's not going to matter anyways. There's Figma. We didn't even talk about this. There's a buy balance on that name. We talked about the name, but not the buy. Occidental, we mentioned that that's a key level of $50. That could be something. Klarna, didn't Klarna report, or they report today there? So they're going to be a name that's interesting. Wow, Klarna's down. Oh, they must report this morning. Yeah, 17%. We're not even talking about Klarna. They're down 17% here this morning on their earnings report. Yeah, I mean, buy now, pay never. I mean, you've seen Affirm getting absolutely waxed, PayPal getting hit as well. So many of these names, man, just continue to get beat up. I mean, I thought we were supposed to have a relatively strong consumer, but there goes Affirm downside as well. I was saying that at this 80 break right there, that I thought this would create action right back up to here, because you had held the 200 period right there. You had broke back through with vengeance there back to the upside, and then it got going. It got to 85, 86. You would have had 4 or 5%, and then whoops, all the way back there into the downside, and there's your cross happening right now. So it looks like we're trying to push lower on Affirm, Klarna. It can't be good for PayPal shareholders this morning either. I mean, haven't looked at this. I know this has already been beat up, so wouldn't expect too much, but this could also hit to the downside, as PayPal's just recently introduced their quarterly pay thing as well. So every time I use PayPal, they ask me, do you want to divide it up into 4? I'm like, bro, I'm paying for Roblox. It's like $15. So no, I'll just pay for it right now. But anyways, $41. Watch out for PayPal, Klarna, AFRM, Upstart. These names all getting hit the sort of shine has come off this buy now, pay later opportunity. All right, so the next stock would be,
Energy.
complete opposite, a name that's actually making money. Most of these names in this space, they're carry high debt, but turn it over. So let's go back over to the desk and find out what's going on with energy stocks.
Fresh 1 month highs early on this morning for oil futures. We're coming off a little bit right now on this continued back and forth and comments between Iran and the U.S. So, I mean, 2 days in a row here, a nice rebound for XOM. I mean, look at any of these, they kind of look the same this morning.
Yeah, rumors are that the talks have broken down and that the B-2 stealth bombers left their station in the United States, I think Virginia, and is on the way there. A lot of people, you can't see those obviously because they're stealth, but a lot of the predictions around where they're going is where their tankers are circling, Brendo, and the tankers, the refueling tankers, they're circling over Jordan and Iraq, so the assumption is they're heading in that direction for obviously campaigns in Iran. What this comes down to, in my opinion, is whether or not the Strait of Hormuz gets blocked. And what I started out the show saying is President Trump is one of the, you could make the argument, the only presidents that keeps like one eye on the market and the other eye on geopolitics. So he's not going to want oil disruptions and he's not going to want higher gas prices with midterms around the corner. So you feel that he's a little bit sensitive to this issue. So we'll have to see what kind of military planning they have for the Strait and everything in that nature, but oil highly sensitive to that.
One of the points he was making yesterday, he was making rounds on the affordability campaign that he's currently on. One of the points he was making was on that, how not only oil prices have come down and remained down, but gas prices at the pump have followed suit. So yeah, it's a valid point going forward here. I was just reading that the UK was going to block. Apparently they were talking at least about using some of the bases in the UK for those bombers, but the UK apparently was going to not allow that. So how this all plays out remains to be seen, but oil continues to trend higher here past couple of days, guys.
It does, and while not a pure, obviously, oil play, Oxy reported, and they had a beat, but like the revenue was a bit of a miss, and they've had that issue for a while. Just a quick note on the imbalances. Oxy is there for $250 million to the buy side, but the big one is actually BAC, a 1.8 million sell. That's a significant name. 1.8 million sell on BAC. You've got Figma is going to be a 300,000 buy. That's not that big of a deal, I don't think. But Oxy, look, it's got a chance to break the 50 level, but I'd almost be inclined to think when you have that revenue miss to look for, oops, I'm going to go this far, to look for some kind of dip. Like you are stretched a little bit here, and I've seen Oxy in the past, after earnings, do the old, okay, well, we're going to take some profit off, especially when it wasn't a perfect report, again, with that revenue miss. And the prior highs are going to give you two places. You'll have the wick tops of 49, and then just a little bit out in front of the 48 at about 48 and a quarter. So that's the places I'll be looking. I think you have a decent chance that you could break the volume weighted average price. If it breaks 50, then I think a false break and then dip to VWAP makes sense. That was a play for ONDS yesterday on a bit of a gapper as well. But other than that, wait for it to maybe retest initially down into that pre-market low here for Occidental. So small buy and balance doesn't really matter here. And then I said there's just BAC on the locator for now. Big sell on BAC.
Yeah, I wanted to just quickly look at, I don't know why this isn't loading. CL, I thought it was F. Oh no, it's J, my bad. J, there it is right here. Kashkari saying crypto is completely useless. Literally his words. So, you know, you can, I don't know what Bitcoin's doing right now. Obviously, no one cares too much about Bitcoin anymore either. Bitcoin's been at the 66 to 68 level for a while. It's kind of puzzling a little bit to me. But, okay, so hopefully things with Iran can calm down a little bit. And if they do, then what about the 66 break? I mean, we've been hovering here the whole morning. Obviously, it's only 15 cents away. This is per barrel, right? So you got to be careful with that break lower. I still think it can happen. And if it does, then look out because you're underneath VWAP. You're underneath the 200 period moving average, 50 period. Everything's pointing down right now. So I think right here, oil is going to be under a little bit of pressure today. It's a nice move higher up, 1.6%, but hopefully we can get a little bit more talk here about the peaceful negotiations, whatever, in Iran and you know, Ukraine, Russia, all that kind of stuff. And you never know what sort of headlines are going to hit the market. But here we go. Now it's starting to come back in just a little bit. So yeah, watch out for a 66 break. For now, it looks like a shelf on oil. All right, with a minute and a half left, I'm still going to take the Walmart short. So I'm looking at that to break through 126, but now it's just ripping higher. So this probably not going to work out if it does come through as well. Short, silver, Walmart, futures, Palantir, looking all short this morning. All right, one more name, DoorDash. That's the one that's popping.
All right, Dash here coming back in a little bit. We tried to bounce back to 190, as we said earlier. Quick reversal after the report. After the close yesterday, but I mean, impressive right across the board here.
Yeah, this was a good report, Brendo. You know, with the current quarter was a little bit to be desired, but the net income, which is that profitability, that's the most important thing. $213 million in profit, up from the 141 they made last year. Margin expansion despite heavy investment spending. Total orders climbed 32% year over year at about 903 million. Gross order value as well, up 39%, just shy of $30 billion. Estimates had already been reduced though after a Q3 disappointment, so you know the estimates were a little bit lowered. Tony Xu, he emphasized long-term investment. He's the CEO in global tech infrastructure, and he wants to integrate DoorDash, Deliveroo, and Wolt all into one unified platform.
A few seconds to go here, guys. Best of luck today.
Yes, sir. Just under 15 seconds to go to the opening bell. One we didn't talk about, Palantir had a big reversal, kind of a head and shoulders-ish look. I like the shorts in at 135 if we get them. It is Thursday. We've got lots of earnings. DoorDash to the downside, Walmart to the upside after the move. The bell brought to you by Beta Pro by GlobeX. And it just rung, even though you didn't hit it. I want to shout out to them. You can scan the QR code for more information on Beta Pro. Oh, the other thing, again? Seriously? Okay, well, every single morning, I feel like Intel just drops a percent right off the open. I just did it again. So a 1% move down instantly on Intel through 45. Bye-bye. That is absolutely gonzo. The only other thing that we didn't go over or didn't have a chance to get over is I'm again looking for the short on IBIT, but we're at the lows as opposed to when we were bouncing at the open yesterday. So if we can get into maybe VWAP or 37.8, that'd be the first play for myself.
All right, I'm just gonna try a short in Walmart. I mean, it's just really blasting higher here. I mean, oops, that's Palantir still. There's Walmart here. So we're gonna try, okay, there it is. Now we're gonna get shorter on Walmart as someone's blasting this thing higher. We're gonna wait at 129.80. We're gonna get out if it breaks 130.
Oh, bye-bye, Oxy.
And that will be that for now on Walmart. I mean, it's really trying to push higher there. Good name, like we saw this yesterday at 133. Maybe that's, you know, where we need to wait for Walmart, but wow, what a move higher. Let's just try to short it against 130, you know. I mean, if that's gonna break, it's gonna break, and that's fine. That's the level right there. So we'll give it a little bit of room here on WMT and see if the pushback is real on that name. Yeah, my number one trade idea was, there goes Walmart's gonna rip up. Was gonna be to short Palantir, but there goes Walmart. Just, did it take out 130? I mean, it's got me out there at 130. I'm not sure. Let me just try one more spot here, just in case that was a little fugazi there. Let's go to 130 11s or so. Still going to stop us out if it does rip higher there. But I don't know. Looks like, did it break through? It must have 130.10. Okay, so Walmart doing that to me there. But that's okay. We're not going to be too stubborn with this. Like, there's the break again of Walmart. So one last chance. I just wasn't sure if we got run to the top there. We really liked this name. I mean, what I wrote down was 126. You're obviously nowhere near 126 now. Yeah, I just saw Figma there you just mentioned.
This is why we don't trust Figma.
No.
Does anybody trust Figma? Well, if somebody wants to pick them up, they got a discount, that's for sure. Almost red on the day is Figma. By the way, I'm saying Intel was flushing, but it just hit 44.20 as it's getting really nasty for them. And this is, look, Nvidia is literally not moving. AMD, if this will load, there we go. AMD barely moving at all. Unfortunately, patience is usually the name of the game. Not today. Apparently, Oxy, you just had to hit the buy key wherever. It broke through 50. We just hit 51.5. This is absolutely flying. So I wanted to short the pop in Palantir, Intel, and IBIT. None of those three things have made even a scintilla of a move to the upside.
All right, we make it all back on Walmart. Walmart just flushed into 129, so I don't know, like, give me that one. I'm sitting at 129 flat as well. Hopefully we can get that. Then we're going to be at 128.60, and then we'll be out of half, and we'll see if we can get a downside push. I thought like that was just a little bit. I was watching the stock, and it was like it got run, but then it didn't keep going. So for me, there it is. We get that fill. So that's $1. Well, 80 cents. Now it's $1. right there as we just put it back in. And, you know, we took basically the same amount of shares. So hopefully this can work out. We're now pretty positive here on Walmart, holding on to that trade. Let's just see if it gives back a little bit. Could rip the top, and if it does, we're out at 130. We've already talked about that. So far so good there on Walmart. Palantir, the other move was, excuse me, man, just chugged that coffee there. Silver, sorry, the water. Silver, yeah, I wrote down 71 as a top and a potential 70 break lower here on SLV. So that looks like that might be what's happening. That's a good little level right here on our chart. See if we break back down below 70. There looks like there's going to be some kind of support there. So we would like to see that break happen first, and then we'll address it. All right, man. Looks like Walmart might be a flat trade after all, as it makes that move down into 129, sorry. Now it's taking it right back up to 130. So, all right, man, let me put another bid here in the 50s, see if we can grab that. There it is. Okay, so we take out another 5% there, sorry, 10% at that level. Just rejected again off 130. But remember, earnings day one, like literally earnings this morning, earnings 2 hours ago on Walmart. So the market's going to digest what they feel like on this one. 128.60 is my next bid. Pretty good out there. Let me bet out another 5% here at O's, and then we'll see if we fall one more time. So far, so good on that short. But that's about it for me. I mean, Amazon was a name that I wanted to look short. Market doing its own thing again. Nothing,
not much.
Which is nothing. So I don't want to have too much.
Nothing
of
is
an
more
opinion.
apt.
Yeah, I don't want to have too much of an opinion. Walmart back down below 129.
Yeah, well, Palantir is trying to bounce back a little bit here.
Okay.
Look, Palantir is nowhere near the 135, which obviously would be yesterday's lows. So I got to look for this 133.5. VWAP also sits at effectively 133. So if our first bar, well, our second bar after this little opening dump, I can put a topping tail candle in, that can give me a spot to enter into a potential short position. As far as shorting Intel, I'm just not seeing it. Just really don't see any way off these lows. It's going to have to do something back to the upside to give an entry. And then Occidental, that's pretty far gone at this point. It's at 51.5, up 8%. But what is starting to go is IBIT. It's actually breaking yesterday's low. So this will end up being different from the strategy previously, where I'm just going to look at the pre-market trend line and short into the trend line because we're not getting any kind of a pop to retest resistance points. So I'm just drawing a trend line from the entirety of the pre-market and saying to myself, if we break that, then today is the day that IBIT doesn't work shorting the open. But otherwise, just going to continue shorting Bitcoin. We're down at 65.6. We just broke 66,000. Doesn't appear to be an insight. You got the market as well breaking to the downside here in addition. Oh, okay, Intel's actually getting to VWAP. If you see that pop in, it's a VWAP short on Intel as well. Market looking pretty weak. It seems like every single day, all we're doing is shorting at the open.
Yeah, you would have got smoked the last couple of days doing that, but it did print lower as the day goes on. So let's see if that winds up happening here right now. We got a good trade on Walmart, man. We did get that 128.60, so that was a good out there. Just at this sort of breaking, that's why we sat there. Was just at this level right there. The real level was 50. So I'm in to silver short, but we're very, very light. I wanted to wait until we get back up here into 70.50 before we really start to do anything here on SLV. So if it does bump up, I'm sitting here at 70.25s to start a little bit of a short, and then really just looking to see if we break through VWAP now. It's actually lining up quite nicely here. So 70.70, if that can happen, good for us. Well, not good for us. I don't want it to go all the way up there, but that would be a break for me. So if we can break above 70.70 or so here on silver, then hi-ho on that one. But I'm going to try to get a little bit more short at $70.25 if that comes through, and then we'll work the trade after that. But yeah, so far so good. Walmart about $1, and silver just trying to do its own thing here around $70. We'll continue to watch the U.S. dollar as well, but when we get back from Madeira.
U.S. President Donald Trump is speaking right now at the Board of Peace event. This started about half an hour after it was supposed to, just a little bit about after 9:30 is when it began. It's been happening for a couple of minutes. The reason I bring this up is because, A, we know that at any moment he can talk about the market, and B, he's actually already discussing said market. Trump saying that the Dow being over 50,000 and the S&P 500 being over 7,000 were things that people thought would not be possible to do in 4 years, and he's already done it. So Trump, once again, talking about these stock market gains. If there's anything else market-related, specifically potentially with regards to oil, given the Board of Peace element, I'll keep you guys posted. Back to you.
Just me, or I don't know. There's something, I don't want to be political, but the Board of Peace thing, it sounds like something that, like, in a comic book, like a villain would do.
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like I'm pretending like it's like Lex Luthor would pretend he'd call it the Board of Peace, but really.
What is Samuel L. Jackson the leader of?
Shield.
Shield. So that's what it sounds like. It's like you guys are all together as a group, you know, protecting the greater good.
Board.
Yeah.
Just very quickly. Oh, well, I'm into.
I'm on the board.
Random Oddity says 1984. Is that
Everybody
1984 thing? So look, I have to respect the fact that this broke above VWAP on Intel, but you can obviously see I got wicked out here. It came all the way to 44.80. It's right back underneath the volume weighted average price. If it can close under again, I will take a second shot at it. That's not a real candle on Oxy. Oh, okay, no, it's not. No, I had one of my charts has a candle down to 50. I was like, no way that went to $50, and I didn't pick it up. So I'm not in Occidental. That's actually holding VWAP in here. This was the one long idea that I actually liked, but we're not going to get that 50 level anytime soon. I don't want to chase it all the way into VWAP. One of the reasons for that is come to the daily chart for a quick second. Like Oxy is right into the next level up, which is overhead resistance at this little 52. Hence why I only want to play these pullbacks. So it is looking a little bit dicey for that long if you didn't get it right away. Offset open. So I want to look for this re-entry if I can. If it can close under the volume weighted average price on Intel. Oh, tried it early once, but then with that wick out, I want to see a lower high, something we can play in the other direction. You just said Netflix?
No, Netflix not doing anything. Netflix just back and forth a couple bucks there. Yeah, look, the name that we started the show with, so basically when we logged in here today, I was like, you know, let's look for some Amazon weakness there today. We saw, I mean, part of that was Walmart was down, but we'd also seen, and I don't know, I mean, I'm still short Walmart. Walmart's actually printing quite nicely right now. But Amazon right there to the downside again today. Yeah, just had a move and now has another move, and this other move is down. So there goes Amazon right now bleeding to the downside, now down 1% AMZN. I did write down the TQQ trade that we probably should have had again on their 49 sell area. I mean, again, like that's this is exactly what we wrote down was 49 sell, but it's in the pre-market and then it hits right away all the way up there at 931. So it's like, should have just taken that one, but you know, trying to let things settle down a little bit here in the market, right? So good trading as we got. I got another piece I want to broke through 129 right there on Walmart. Just checking back, 1/3 left of our position. I almost said 35%. 1/3 left there of our position. So we'll see. Hopefully it gets a little lower on that one. Silver doing its own thing here again. Like it just bounced off. We don't have the best price on this, which what else is new? We always start to short a little too early. But it comes right back up there into the 200 period moving average and gives you that short at 70.50 there. So yeah, we again had written down on here 71 short. Like these are things that we're writing down, but again, like, you know, some of the levels are hitting in the pre-market. So go over here, just go find the sticky note if you're interested in it. There's Palantir, there's silver 71 short. We'll watch the breakdown of 70 there as well. That's what we sort of thought we would be looking for. TQQ's 49 high, Walmart 126. But that 126 was like, you know, conference call did not agree with the 126 number there at all. Now silver's back in the money. Not even close, man. It just like, well, 126 was actually a great bottom during that call. So I think we just flipped the trade on the other side there. But Walmart's going to be a nice positive name for me today. But here goes silver. So hi-ho. I'll see if we get it. There it is. We get a 96. So this, yes, sir. This took a little bit of patience. But now we can spin this money as there goes silver right back into the downside as well. So let me take out another piece of Walmart and we'll see if this silver trade can really come back in, man. This is what we're looking for on silver. Next sort of area, 69.50 or so. SLV. Let's see how low this name can go.
I see in the chat there, Commodity Kings mentioning ETH is making a power move. It is slightly bouncing. I'm looking back for a set. I need a setup, obviously, to get back into Bitcoin. But I'm looking at that at the 66,000 mark. If it loses 66, I'm looking to play. You're still under VWAP on both. Actually, they're about the same spot. They're almost identical charts. There's IBIT trying to go above VWAP. There's ETHA trying to go above VWAP. But you have topping tails in either case. If those fail to go under VWAP, that's the way I want to look for an entry short. It doesn't mean you're always going to snag it, because I can tell you on Intel, on the way back in, like if you get it on the way up, yeah, sure, great. I could hold this one 1% against. But on the way back underneath, couldn't even get filled back through. Intel now down 3% on no specific news that I'm aware of, but it could just be Intel being Intel. For those that are looking at energy, almost identical to the Oxy chart, although obviously not up as big. XLE breaking out, but Occidental's the one in the space that's moving the most, up 9% after earnings, and they missed on revenue. It wasn't even perfect for them. There's also a small capper in the energy space. It was that, Rudy? I thought it began with an R in there as well. So just watch out. There is a small capper that was running earlier, but my eyes are going to be on Oxy. Doesn't look like IBIT wants to lose his volume weighted average price. Might just have to be the patience game for the short. In Bitcoin, allow it to retest the local high like a 37.8, something like this, break a trend, or even get into 38 where this was barcoding most of the afternoon. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait for that setup to come in there if I'm not gonna see it in IBIT anytime soon. And then the other name, the fourth name that I was watching for the trade this open was Palantir off of this pre-market high in the 135. It's now $1 away. So Palantir is now within spitting distance of that resistance spot. And it's just a bit of a head and shoulders-ish setup, right? Like you had all day, most of the morning, it was upside, and then we just gave it up to close, giving up all the gains, setting up this potential head and shoulders. If it goes another 50 to 60 pennies, then we're testing that pre-market high, and I look for the reverse in Palantir. So there's something which is actually giving the pop and fade or potential pop and fade that I was actually looking for.
Yeah, good look there. We actually really do. I mean, Palantir, I think, with this market moving higher there, should be good. Yeah, so silver, man, I mean, okay, goes right into the lows of the day, comes right back up, and we are getting close to potentially stopping out at those levels there on silver. So watch out. We talked about 70.70 is going to be our out, and we just almost got there. That's the top end right there. So we'll see if that can come through. We're still short. Now we're short at $70.40. So we'll see if we can get a bid there. I'll put a bid at 30 to see if we can capture a little bit of something if that does come back into that area. Back to flat now on SLV as we wait. There it is. We took a 33 there off that reload. So we'll see if it goes. Oh, I have a button for that. We're reloaded. All right, let's check out what the dollar index is doing right now. So generally speaking, you know, you would sort of want, if we're going to hope that silver goes down, we would want a stronger U.S. dollar so that you have to buy silver. If you're buying it in foreign currencies, it becomes a little bit more expensive. So we'll see what winds up happening here with the U.S. dollar now and SL. Wow. Okay, Neil. Now I don't know what just happened there, but there's the move down. The market flashed. Okay. Yeah, good little move there for SLV. We just now we're at our daily goal right there, but we got to start taking some out. I mean, it doesn't mean anything if you don't take advantage of said move. So there goes. So what we got some bids down there. We just didn't get the ultimate low of $70. We put another bid here at 20. There it is. We'll grab that, and now hopefully we'll get that downside play. We did get close. I'm going to put another stop a bid out here on Walmart. There he goes. We'll take a 65 fill. That almost broke through 130 again as well. So I mean, now the market's battling back again. Like, talk about like just pure chop fest. I mean, the market really can't figure itself out. I'm still only really looking at these two names, but for me, it's been a good look there. So yeah, we'll just continue with that. You're on Palantir. I know that was a name that I was interested in as well. So yeah, good look. I think picking the right name here, PLTR.
No, not at this price.
Oh,
because it gave the patented. This is one of my favorite setups, to be honest with you. It's that pre-market level break. It did do the topping tail candle, but once you break that prior high, you got to jump out, have to follow the rule. Even if I wanted to go, why am I still bidding if I'm out? I want to cancel that. That should have auto-canceled.
Boom.
Doesn't matter. Oh. Yeah, now you're starting to bounce even higher. Oxy, again, the only long I liked is going to be Occidental, but I'm not chasing this move. I do feel like there's a chance if the 15-minute, we have one 15-minute candle on this stock. So if I can see it hold above 51, then I don't mind chasing up here to play into 52. But overall, this stock is now up 9% and seeming like a little bit dicey of a chase. The frustrating one's going to be Intel because, let's be real, to lose when it only worked is always going to be annoying. But that topping tail was too big on the 3-minute. I am looking to get back into this short. Even with that last bounce in the market, this is barely bouncing off of the lows and down 3%. Darrow, what do you have for us?
Yeah, as you guys know here, we do have U.S. President Trump still talking. Nothing really market-related here. But the thing I want to mention is Kashkari is still speaking as well. Fed's Neil Kashkari. He's talking about new Fed or possibly incoming Fed Chair Warsh, saying that Warsh has been outspoken in offering ideas to the Fed, and he's looking forward to the coming discussion. We also have Kashkari saying that Warsh is well qualified, in his opinion, to be the chair of the Federal Reserve. He's also saying, too, one other thing that Kashkari said a little bit earlier that I think is worth mentioning as well, is that he said that AI investment could potentially be driving up the neutral rate. Now, we don't have any economic data coming through at 9:45. Obviously, it's now 9:48. But at 10 a.m., we are going to be getting pending home sales. I'll be giving those to you guys in just 12 minutes now. Back to you.
Ooh, okay, pending home sales.
Could be driving up the neutral rate. I think what Kashkari means to say is energy prices being driven up by data centers could cause inflation. Is anybody shocked by that statement? He could have just said that.
Oh, they can always make things simpler, and they don't. So that's, you know, you got to make it like they're the smartest guys around. All right, so again, almost breakout of Walmart downside right now. We can check out other names like a Target. Yeah, they're not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. We're just going to wait for silver to come back in. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, we're out at 70. We've sort of pegged out that one. Let's have a quick look at some of the broader market names right now as we just have a look at what sectors are popping or dropping. I mean, energy, that's going to be a good one, man. We've already talked about them today. Oil was up 1.6% when we last looked. So this space, you can't go wrong today with energy. XOM, CVX, EOG, all sort of moving around today. Obviously, there's not too many green areas now. As far as another name, utilities, transports trying to go as well. Consumer non-durables, you know, we had Procter. Like I was saying, man, you can hold it in your hand. I like that stock. So there's Procter & Gamble right now. You can hold some Nike in your hand, but I don't know if I like that one. Wow, Walmart is really, man, Walmart's really coming back in now, $1.50 as Walmart's at the lows. We just take another fill right there. It's a big stock for me today. WMT off of the sticky note. So that's so far so good. You know, take advantage of maybe some of this, like Lamb down 3%, AMAT down 2%, Caterpillar down. John Deere up at 7, up 9% right now. Cummins, we got super chat about many of these names as the industrials. If you like the space, getting hit a little bit today, maybe take advantage over there. Eli Lilly, AbbVie, a lot of these names getting hit. I really like the XBI. Pfizer continues to be not great. That was another name that we had from Brian Shannon. We can have a quick little look at that, you know, later on for Pfizer. But yeah, so you know, it's just kind of a mixed bag here today, and financials down as well.
If it was a breakout, if memory,
yeah, we just have to ask. I haven't looked at the chart.
Yeah, if memory serves for Brian, this is not to sit there and yikes. It's not to sit there and defend. I'm just pretty sure he was like, it needs to break this $28 level. Like right in here.
Yeah, that would be a great short, then hopefully he has that on.
Yeah, that looks like it would have been an absolutely fantastic short, and maybe there's a dip buy in at 25 that could come into play for it. But while we're looking at that, my eyeballs are going back over to, well, two places, Intel and iBit. That's going to stick with the same plan. We don't really have much of a trend that's going to be forming, but you can see it's a pretty steep one. And when it's that steep early, I'm usually in the back off and wait mode. So 37.8, so you can see here, just a little bit further, and then you can get up to that. I don't want to call it overnight resistance, but it kind of is overnight resistance. By the way, this Occidental is absolutely, it's just going ham at this point. It's at some point, this just turns into, we got one red candle on the 3-minute, and there hasn't been a real pullback candle since. Like, we've been flying off of any support levels. You might end up getting past that 52, and then the setup turns into, well, I'm waiting for reversion in the other direction. Because if it gets to $53, that is what it is on the daily chart. And that's a big resistance spot for Oxy on the daily chart, that 53. Intel just missed me. Again, I'm sitting right there for the curl and did not get picked up at 44.20. This is down 3%. Don't know why. The chip name that actually had a reason to, well, maybe there wasn't a reason, but that had any action this morning was SMCI, and that's absolutely flying. If I see no story for this SMCI, at some point, if there ends up being nothing and this gets to double digits, actually a little further away. It's like 32.8. That would be the big level. So it's got about another 80 cents to go before anything definitive. So we'll see if we get swept up into Intel. Palantir's almost at 135. And oh my goodness, a red candle is forming on Occidental. Finally, oil's been strong. Oxy leading the way, pulling back into VWAP. If it can hold VWAP here, didn't want to chase, but we can get into this long, hopefully.
Yeah, we're Looks like silver wants to teeter higher here. You know, generally speaking, we talked about the strong U.S. dollar, but we're going to have to. We just got a 61 there, so our offer is now 50s. Sorry, our average price is now 50s on SLV. So let's wait to see where this name goes from here. Another short. We're getting ready to get stopped out if this breaks 70. So you know, we're well positioned. We're well aware of that trade right now. I was actually looking at Apple. Apple's at a spot where I think it needs to decide what it wants to do right now. You know, just hitting this 200 period moving average right now, trying to think about 264. The market just went on a nice little run higher there. So yeah, it could be time for Apple to think about break and hold higher than 264 right now. So if it does do that, it looks like you know, you could have an extension here on Apple, as it's had some good moves over the last couple days, both to the high side and to the low side. Walmart's been my best stock anyways today. Obviously, I've only traded 2 of them. We're still in silver. And Walmart down there has been a good one. So we'll see. It did break earlier, but then we were able to, you know, when it breaks, we lost 40 cents or something, and we're able to take money back out as this name moves around. Let's see if the futures do want to pull back just a little bit now. But yeah, it's Apple I'm looking at there. We had Klarna today get absolutely destroyed off the open. Still, wow, it was only down 17%, now down 23%. I could assume that Affirm is also hitting the skids a little bit. No, not really. That's kind of doing nothing.
That's
it did have a...
Really?
Yeah, well, it did have a move down. It's still down 3%, but it was down lower than that. Bitcoin, nice move higher, right? I mean, IBIT, I know you looked at this a little bit earlier too. There's a nice move higher on that. We have pending home sales coming up very soon, which should influence this market, that's for sure. All right, moments away from taking an L here on this last little reload for SLV, because the short is there. Oh, the short is not working. It just did flash 71s. That's going to be when we get out, once that starts printing. So does not print, but definitely looking like it's going to. So right now, silver just touches out at that high again, and now making a move lower, but still don't love the stock one bit. You know what? Let's take advantage of this a little bit and get something out here at 58, just because we just bounced off of that area. So let's take a little pressure off that trade, because we were very close to being shut out of this position. So normally you don't nail it to the penny. You know, it's definitely thinking about going upside. So there it is, man. Have a little bit of discipline. When you're wrong, take something out, and we'll figure it out after that. So right now we're trying to absorb this move higher on silver, but it might not be for long. And there goes Apple, I guess. Oh, no, back down 364 again. Okay, so the market's just figuring it out at the day's high right now.
The market trying to break out 4 minutes until, I believe it's just home.
Yeah, it's new home sales.
New home sales that we're gonna, pending home sales. Yeah. Check that, my bad. It's pending home sales. And I don't want to dismiss any number, but it's not a gigantic one. And I'm not really expecting it to move the market too much. So Oxy, the first red candle stalled out here at 50.90. It just bounced temporarily off that level, snuck back above VWAP to grab the long. I immediately want to take some out for a quick scalp, because it's looking a little bit weaker than expected. Intel just pulled back into the volume weighted average price. My goodness, Palantir's already at 135.
Oh boy.
I don't know if I like that one. All right, it's serious. I actually mentioned this I mentioned this yesterday, that you can like a level, but it needs to actually show you a setup. And so there was a setup here at 133.5, and I might like the 135 level, but I'm not really seeing a reason to get into a short there. It's one thing if I see it slowing down, easing into that price level, but I'm not seeing that at all. It actually blasted through 135 en masse. Like IBIT got to 37.8 and checked a little bit at 138, at 38. But Palantir looking incredibly strong. As the market going higher, that just continues to rally. And this is sort of that's the annoying thing. Oxy does not hold on. If this fills the whole gap, then we're back to thinking 50 long. Although initially I know I said 49 to the long side. But yeah, just gonna try and take these little scalp opportunities if we can, because the direction of this market, I think, is yet to be determined. I'm not believing in this breakout until a 15 closes above. If we close above on the 15, then I'm convinced that we don't have just a choppy mess.
All right, we wrote down 136 for Palantir, so I'm going to start it right here at 135.40. I do have, you know, higher expectations for this stock, obviously, so we're just going to layer into it and see what happens at 136. I mean, removed from Bank of America's list there today. This is that 135 area. This is 136 where we saw yesterday in the afternoon. We couldn't really get above it. That wick is 136.30. I'm more just worried about the 136 level. If we break that, we'll give it a couple heartbeats and then punch out. But, for right now, we'll take this short back in. It's now 30 cents in the money. So I like that one. We'll see how far this one can go to the downside right now. Walmart's still doing its own thing. But silver, unfortunately, the last little bit of that trade flushed out as we do take that 70 area right now. Okay, here we go, man. This is what we're talking about. There goes Palantir. Let's see if we can take advantage of that. Bid some 07s, and there it goes, man. Put the money back in your pocket with PLTR. Now 40 cents in and starting to go a little bit lower. Okay, we'll take 50 cents on Palantir, hopefully. But that's going to be about our risk, right? So if we can get that in there, we can go 1-to-1 and flatten out or hold a little bit. We'll see if we can take out half for the 1-to-1, and then we'll wait for a bigger move up and see what winds up happening for Palantir if we can get a little bit more short on PLTR. The futures came close to a short for me. We said 49. Went to 49 and change. Now it's trying to break a little lower on that. I think it's a little risky taking it ahead of home sales, but I don't want to take it yet. So we're going to have to wait for the TQs and see if, there we go. Did that print me out yet? Where am I bidding here? I'm bidding Palantir. Oh no, we did get filled. Okay, good. Yeah, we did get filled. So we're out of half on that already. Our bet, our fill was 90 there. So we take the 134.90. So that's 50 cents in your pocket on Palantir. Let's see where it goes down. US, okay, Palantir, maybe a little bit more. I mean, can we make $1 on this trade? We'll get some out in the 60s. Pending home sales, new pending home sales coming out could affect the market. Not overly excited about it. I don't think so. But there goes Palantir, man. It's 80 cents in the money there on PLTR. So far, so good on that one. Thank you, Chris Trader. Let's go back over to the desk with Adara as we got the numbers coming out now.
The number that is pending home sales change month over month and year over year for the month of January. Month over month going to be, as far as I've been seeing here, the more closely watched of these prints. 2% is the forecast. Previous was negative 9.3. Now we only have just 7 seconds here until we get that number. Year over year home sales for what it's worth. Previous negative 3%, forecast positive 2.4. And again, pending home sales month over month, negative 0.8%. That is going to be below that forecast here of positive 2%. So a bit lower than expected here for those pending home sales market. A little bit of a pullback, but again, generally pushing nicely here off of these lows of day. As we do have a lot to evaluate, we have tons of appearances from U.S. President Donald Trump throughout the day. He'll be visiting Rome, Georgia, the state of Georgia, not the country of Georgia, making some speeches about the economy, visiting factories, visiting local businesses. So President Trump absolutely going to be on watch here with some of the comments. He's currently speaking at this Board of Peace event. Also speaking, we did have some comments from Fed's Kasperi, who basically said that he believes that AI is very likely going to be increasing the neutral rate. I want to talk about oil here. Here is Occidental OXY. As Neil mentioned, not really a pure oil play, but any of these oil plays are going to be in watch amidst ongoing geopolitical concerns, specifically with Iran and the U.S. I want to talk about earnings here, last but not least. It'd be impossible to mention all of them here in this one segment, but here is Carvana bouncing really nicely here and almost actually at yesterday's closing level, or very least support from yesterday after an earnings report. They did beat here on sales here for CVNA. Other earnings on watch include Etsy, eBay, DoorDash, Wayfair, Walmart. The list really goes on and on. A whole bunch of these earnings names can be found on X and TTV Research. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and stay with us here. It's Sean and Neil.
But also make sure that you note that number that you see on your screen, because it says 5. And that means there's only 5 days left for the Trader TV Academy going live. The countdown continues. It's been a long time coming, but we refuse to rush this process. Countless hours have been spent refreshing and perfecting the core learning materials here to ensure they meet the standards of today's markets. It's the way we learn to trade, and it's built from the ground up for this modern market. Do not miss the launch. It's Tuesday, February 24th. Keep your ear to the ground. Make sure you get your notifications up. We'll be talking about it. We'll be showing it off. Again, it's been a long time coming. We're very excited for the Academy. 5 days. Yesterday, I accidentally said Joe DiMaggio, and it was Yogi Berra. We got Joe DiMaggio days left. So we're excited for the Academy. We hope you guys are too as well. Oh, we had a super chat.
Yeah. Okay.
That's, I knew it was. Frederick Von Yummy Pants. If you send a super chat, I'm going to say the name. Just buy some AG, HLSCF, CDE, take a nap, come back at 4 o'clock. You like all of those. I love, well, this is the silver now. I was going to say I love gold, so you can just go with the metals. 9%. These miners have been on fire. I know you were mentioning HYMC yesterday, I believe. AG, looks like it could be breaking out. So if you want to come back at 4 o'clock, is it going to break that 25? Already up 9 points and looking for more. Some overhead resistance at the 25, but look at that one. They're absolutely flying. So does arrows up for the miners for a second day in a row.
I'm trying to, miners. I mean, silver right now is trying to go higher. So far, so good. Another position on right now. We're going to try Robinhood long here. And Palantir is coming up to a level. It's a good thing we had cashed out near those lows. We actually took that. Oh, we just got more shares short. Okay, of Palantir. But I do like Robinhood here, trying to hold some of those bids, right? I mean, you never want to go necessarily long Robinhood and short Palantir. I mean, both of these names will go with or without the market. But 75.95, let's get a little piece out there just ahead of 76 if we can do that. We'll see if we can take 20 cents real quick, but just trying to see if we can hold that low here around 75.60 or so for Robinhood, that little bottom wick. So let's put that out there. 75, let's just use something like this, 75.50 break, 75.48. We just got to stop out if it does break that, and we'll deal with it then. But so far, so good there to the upside. We'll see what Robinhood wants to do. All right, we did get shorter in Palantir, just a little bit there at 50. So now our average price is 50. So we'll put another bid down there. Again, in the teens, or in the O's actually, and see if we do grab that bid as here it comes falling back in just a little bit. See if we could take 50 cents. Remember, our stop is going to be up there near 136. So let's just keep on rinsing it out down near that bottom side of 135, and then we'll take, well, you know what, I'll take a little bit of a bid right now in the teens if we can get it on PLTR. Okay, Robinhood, we got a little bit more as we approach that 75.50 area. So Robinhood in the blotter now, just going to give it 20 cents. See if the risk to reward pays off here on Robinhood. What you got over there, Dara?
Just be aware here, guys. President Trump still talking. He's saying that the U.S. is having good talks with Iran, but that a meaningful deal is needed. So OXY dropping a little bit lower on these comments. Market initially pushing a little bit higher. But again, Trump saying, or basically speaking here about the importance of a meaningful deal, but that the U.S. is having good talks, quote unquote, with Iran. Just something to note here for the market and specifically for oil. Maybe keep an eye on some of these defense plays as well, because Trump is just saying that the U.S. just ordered 22 more B-2 bombers. Back to you.
Yeah, we were just talking about the stealth bomber this morning.
Oh, some Boeing action.
Look, they can't lose. Like, just look at the chart. We talked about Raytheon yesterday. LMT made fresh highs, 52-week highs, if not all time, and they're all just winning. And then ultimately, conflict or no conflict. I know some people don't like investing in defense names, and I get it. You know, they're making weapons of destruction at the end of the day. But profitability is profitability, and cash.
Protection.
Oh yeah. Either way you want to look at it, but cash is cash, right? So don't get me wrong. Like everyone has to do
Robinhood
that.
did not work.
Right, so IBIT is trying to put another topping tail. There was this topping tail candle, what, halfway to VWAP, and that's it. So I got half out. If we hold this topping tail, I'd reload and play back for the volume weighted average price. With the way Oxy's coming back in, I need to see it definitively bounce off this 50. Actually, it is the $50 level, not the 50 pre-moving average, although it also would be that too, but the $50 breakout level. That'll be a frustrating one because I didn't like the 50 break. Don't like breakouts in this market because it's been a weak one most of the time. 49 was the initial dip buy level, but if we can close holding 50, maybe break a trend, that would at least give me an entry. But eyes on this IBIT, another topping tail, and I'm going to not jump back in, but try to reload the short that we took out on the way to the volume weighted average price. So market looking, like I said, it's green since the open on the 15-minute. But topping tail, no big follow through. We're not really closing with a lot of strength above VWAP or above those highs. It's a very unconvincing rally so far this morning, which would be nasty if it turns into a convincing one, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I mean, I still like the short, man. I mean, we unfortunately, we thought Robinhood might have been on its own little thing there and trying to go back up there to the upside. But yeah, the futures do not play nice with Robinhood, and it goes down, so we'll lose 15 cents on that one. Too bad. So sad. Love Dad. All right, so TQQ's here. We're going to watch out for that. A new position alert here. We're going to short the futures now at 49 and change. We did like the 49 short to begin with. It does have a nice rally up, and now we can use this sort of top as our area to break. So if it does break that 40-40 or so, we can get out of that. That would be the top wick of the last trade there. So we're waiting to see if there is going to be a downside move here. Trump saying there still is work, obviously, to be done with Iran. I mean, we kind of know about that. So, he's going to be talking all about that right now. Nuclear weapons, everything. Adara has the story, I believe, right now.
Yeah, just more from Trump here, just more details, saying that he believes that Hamas will have to give up their weapons or, quote, they will be harshly met. Also saying that they do have some more work to do with Iran, as we had Sean mentioned just now, but also Trump further saying that the U.S., quote, might have to take a step further on Iran. So he did talk about how they need a significant deal. He said talks are going well, but now saying that there actually still is more work to do. So lots of back and forth here in Iran, as evidenced to an extent by this move in the market and on oil. Back to you.
All right. I mean, all these shorts are now printing through on this kind of news. So we're $1 in the money on Walmart. We're 35 cents, I don't know, in the money on Palantir, and we just took some profit on the TQs. So let's see if we do fade out, man. I mean, I really want to wait to see if there's a bigger move going to happen now. I mean, all this talk, the president's on the mic. Who knows what he winds up saying? And that's a very dangerous thing to trade off of, because something positive happens, the market spikes, but we're just going to try to play off of that high. We initially did want the TQ short, so we'll just sit there and play with that and hopefully get it. If we do get anything down here, I do have another bid at 48.90, which is basically right where this level is. So hopefully we get a downside play there. We just took another fill on PLTR. So yeah, buddy, so far so good here on the downside for this market. And maybe another print. We're going to wait for 128. My bid at Walmart is still 128.10s. So hopefully that will come in and we'll be able to grab that fill. But here we go. Let's go TQs. Right back to where we took the profit. Let's put it right there. So it's at 93. Let's put a bid at 93. See if we get that. FYI, I'm going to 95. So we'll see if we can get that, and then we'll go on from there. So far, so good here, trying to play a little back end short.
And we got a poll up, apparently.
Oh.
So I'm gonna put my answer in here, and we'll do it live. Trump's Iran deal talk, bullish or bearish? I have to. Even though I'm bearish right now and shorting IBIT, I gotta say bullish piece is good, right? You have to. Like, who doesn't want? I don't care what you feel, man. You gotta want some kind of a deal to happen.
I think they're talking about the market, though. Bullish on the market.
But if you look at the reaction to the VIX every time we got negative news with Iran, that would suggest that we should be strong on a deal happening. Maybe not for defense stocks, fair enough, but we've had a bunch of spikes in the VIX whenever we've gotten some of these headlines like, hey, they're sending that, I forget the name of that massive carrier, it's like the biggest carrier in the world. When they sent that over, big spike in the VIX. So I kind of feel it should be a little bit bullish. Again, maybe not for defensive stocks, obviously, maybe not for oil, but at least certainly for the overall market. So maybe one more fill, and just IBIT, maybe one more fill at this range if we're not going to get all the way to the volume weighted average price as we try to work our way back into the downside. One name that we didn't go over or haven't gone over since the open, DoorDash. Almost went red. It's been trending down pretty decently. Worth a watch here. If this market does get or continue, I guess, to slightly bounce, it's got two pretty distinct points in here. If this can hold the prior day, it filled in the gap. There's your pullback into prior highs. Kind of buried the lead there. So if we hold this level, maybe a third time, and then retest this trend, which isn't really formed yet, and then can break out, that would be a bit of a play for DoorDash. Sometimes waiting for these stocks to fill in the gap is the only way to go. So we're going to have that one up on the side. Just got to fill it VWAP, and then we popped off VWAP here on IBIT. My next bid's underneath the volume weighted average price into this afternoon support level. So we're back to the volume weighted average price. That one heading down. Not really seeing any obvious short setups. I did say if Oxy got to challenge 50, I'd look for the long, but it did not get to that $50 level. And one more for you. We're on it yesterday, but not today, and maybe deserves to be back on the radar. Well, when I looked at it, this was holding yesterday's highs, and that's ONDS. No longer the case. It's going to have to get back above 1125. It was a good long, channeled up pretty much the entirety of the day if you caught the VWAP early. But if it doesn't hold VWAP again, this might be a bit of a dead one. I like the fact that ONDS on this is above the 50 period. I like the strength that it had when we were trading yesterday, but this is now a failed break. So 3 minutes ago it looked bullish. Now I got to stay away. Shorts are coming in.
I just had texted my mom. What's up, my mom?
Hi, Debs.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, she's not watching.
I don't. Maybe she is. I never know. Okay, so right into here. Here goes the market. So nice move, man. As it's coming back in. You know, I'm not really bidding. Well, we should have just bid there in the 80s. So I didn't even realize that just happened. So let's put another bid down there in the mid 80s. We'll see if we can get it. But again, we shorted the futures. Let's see if it wants to work out for us. Palantir is still trying to make some moves there as well. But Walmart is your dollar club, and it's just kind of bouncing around right now. So I feel like for Walmart, let's just put a bid. We'll see if we get a 62 fill. Hopefully we do. And that's just been bouncing off this area. So no matter what I think, you think, Neil thinks, anybody thinks about the market, individual stocks find these levels, and right there, like, I can't predict this, but it's just been bouncing off there now for basically forever. I mean, we had one move, and if you go all the way back here, we've been bouncing off this 128.50 since the start of the day. 935 was the first time it bounced there, and it's bounced there now 3 times, if not more than that. So let's cover a little bit there at 60s. That looks like that was a good move, and then we'll just worry about everything else. Palantir is kind of giving me the same kind of feels right now. So let's put another bid on Palantir. And you know, I've been caught trying to have just monster winners all the time, and sometimes if they're not there, you got to look at the chart and be like, what's going on? Like, why isn't Palantir coming down when this is happening to the market? So, you know, we'll put our thinking cap on, take a little bit out there, just in case there is some sort of a bottom that's being supported there by Palantir. Of course, as soon as we take it out, it flushes a little bit. We still have a very good position on, so let's see where Palantir goes from here. Next bid, let's just try this, man. Let's try the 50-period moving average down near 134 on PLTR. All right, Adara, I think we've been called for you. Futures going down, lowest it's been, Palantir going, Walmart going. We've got 3 shorts on. They're all pretty good right now. Back to Adara.
One ticker that I think potentially worth being aware of here is STRL, Sterling Infrastructure. Worth noting, not a ton of volume on this, like roughly 100,000 shares traded on the day. But I do bring it up because sometimes the volume comes a little bit later. Just be aware, guys, this stock is on watch with a short report from Snowcap Research. They called this company, quote, a poster child for the AI bubble. So that is STRL. Back to you.
STRL, another one of those small caps. And I saw this one that we haven't mentioned, Garrett, and that is maybe the longest time we've gone without mentioning any of the memory stocks. SNDK, SanDisk breaking the high of the day, and I just heard in my ear, also breaking the high of the day is going to be, hey, the biggest, the baddest, green for a split second was Nvidia. Next week they're going to be reporting. You think that's going to be a big report? Spoiler alert, yes, of course it's going to be a big one. But this blasting higher is going to cause, so you had a couple of names breaking out in the chip space. I think that's going to cause a reason to take a little bit more out of the shorts. Yeah, we're coming back through VWAP here on IBIT. Instead of, I'm not going to trail out, but I am going to trim some, I'm going to trim at VWAP and then let it make the next move. Like, I already moved my stop to the break even. I haven't moved it any further down, but I'm going to look for a re-entry. If the market, if the Nasdaq retests the highs, and I'm playing lower highs here, then I think this IBIT stays a short. But again, it was like the early short has been good, but we've had these late moves in IBIT before you really start to trend down. So if it's similar to yesterday, there could be this kind of a consolidative moment where we try the short just somewhere else. It's the best way to think about it. So just be patient with IBIT, take some out at that VWAP, look for the next opportunity, and then back to DoorDash, which gave up a lot of its gains. Now you've held that prior low. It's trying to break out this little trend line in here. I'd like it better if it failed, retested the low, and then broke out. Beggars can't be choosers. It's doing whatever the heck it wants to do here. It has held that low. It can be a little bit of a break here, but unfortunately, I will not take a trend break directly underneath VWAP. I just don't like it. So I might not be in this one if it just breaks in right here. I need to see it maybe hold and consolidate above the volume weighted average price. DoorDash up 3.5%, but remember, this was double digits to the upside. And much like other earnings names, and I'm looking at you, Figma, it dumped right off of the open. Hey, even Figma caught a bid.
It looks like everything's catching a bit. I mean, with Nvidia at the high of the day, you have another big name here, Delta name, Palantir. Like as the market runs, this name is running. And we're short right now at 76. So if I don't like it, I can get out for a 10-cent hit right now. Well, 15 cents. But, you know, I'm going to give it a shot, you know, into 136.20. That was basically where my stop was. We almost got stopped out there. Whenever that almost happens, it pretty much is kind of like par for the course that it may happen. But there it is. We're back to basically flat now on PLTR. Let's just give it a little bit of room, like I said. And you were trying to make 50 cents so we can lose 50 cents. But yeah, nice run up. I don't know if we expected, I mean, you know, I don't know if we expected this. Obviously, going short, you know, at here near the high of the day pre-market, that was decent. But now there's a lot of sky upside right here for PLTR. So, all right, well, now it's starting to come back. We should have maybe taken advantage of that a little bit on that little bit of a pullback, because I said we had come close to getting stopped out there, and then it just runs into the 60s, and we don't do anything about it. So let me put a bid down there, see if we can take a little bit, and then just take out 10% or so. But now it's coming back upside. So someone flushed it, and now it looks like it's trying to hold. So boo on you, PLTR. Sorry, that's PLTR. TQQs as well, trying to make some moves. Just went up to 49.20. We did not reload it. Let's go over to Adair and find out what she's saying.
It's basically 10:20, so I'll do news and I'll do a small cap recap all in one, because we can do that here at Trader TV Live. I want to start here by talking about the news here. U.S. President Trump, who seems like he's wrapping up his Board of Peace speech, saying that Iran must make a deal or, quote, bad things will happen. And now is the time for Iran to join us on a path to peace. So keep an eye here on oil and on the market again, as U.S. President Trump says that bad things will happen, quote unquote, if Iran does not join the U.S. on the path to peace. Now let's get into these small caps. All of these, incidentally, are plays that I've seen are being attributed to going higher on this Iran and U.S. back and forth intentions here. So here's RCAT, that's Red Cat Holdings. This is in that kind of drone and defense space. Red Cat has a 20% short float. 10% short float here. This is BATL, Battalion Oil. Of course, an oil and gas play. We know this sector very much doing well on these types of catalysts, and BATL with a, again, 10% short float. Last but not least, ONDS, Ondas, also in the this kind of defense and drone space, and ONDS with a 26% short float. So decently shorted names in the oil and drone space. Small caps doing quite well today, guys, without any individual catalysts of their own. Back to you.
All right, I mean, now the market is starting to tank as Adair goes back to you right there. Let's put a 55 bid. We do catch that bid now, so now we're starting to cash out, you know, at a much more appropriate level for us on PLTR. Hopefully we do come back in. We were able to cash out more on the TQs as well, as that move came right back into our levels there. So the short temporarily printed now there on the futures and on some of these stocks, but still, you know, battling with, you know, prices right now as the market's very, very flat. I don't know what else to tell everybody. Like, this is what the market's doing. So we're trying to battle with some of these names and
Chopping like Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, good one there.
Anyone get Paul Bunyan references though?
What, wood? Like chopping? Like?
Yeah, but Paul Bunyan's like from our childhood, or like no, not even
maybe even earlier than that, but
way older.
yeah. So, anyways, the market, good one there. The market is choppy. That is for sure. I'm not going to reload the Palantir trade. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We've already taken some profit on it, and we'll try to let the rest run. I mean, we only got out of 20% down there because it was not a very big trade. Like, it was just, it was pretty good. I mean, we were short at what, 79s or something. Now our average price is 85s, and our best fill there is, I think we got 52s. 53s, sorry. So, you know, we got out of 53 for about a quarter, about that 20%. So if it does come back in, we like the trade here on PLTR. You know, the market seems like it might be ticking higher. Okay, well, now it's starting to pull back again. So I don't know. Let's let it breathe a little bit, man. I just can't keep scalping it out every time. So let's let this market breathe. We're $1 in the money on Walmart, and we're trying to get down lower here on the TQs. I actually will take another bid right here at 96. And now let's let this thing fall down. The next bid I have is 85s, and then lower here. There, yeah. Now we're starting to spin it, man. Good trade there. Now, this will put us back into Greensville, obviously, because we're holding stuff. Here comes Palantir. Nice move to the downside. There we go. We get 25s on this name. Good trade there for PLTR. P&L1 will be TQs. then Walmart, then Palantir. We are red on SLV today, but other than that, man, it's been a pretty good day. Oh, Robinhood, we took a cup of coffee on that, but so far so good here. Palantir downside. Let's see how far this one wants to print. We just got 25s there. So, man, if this market loses the bid, this could really be in trouble, but seems to want to hold up. Let's just maybe get out of it all next time that happens, because Palantir, very, very strong stock.
Well, the market, like I said, it's been a bit of a chop fest. That's okay. So Intel tried VWAP twice on Intel. It broke through both times. One time was the right decision to get out. The other time it was the wrong decision to get out. But now we're breaking trend. So we're just kind of connecting the bars in the uptrend. We just broke it, confirmed closing. Oh, now auto cancel works? That's hilarious. Didn't get my other fill there at 69s. We're at 67 as well. But looking for the VWAP retracement. It's just these futures. We still don't have a close above the overnight high. Like this overnight's resistance level, or morning resistance, I should call it. Morning resistance. We haven't closed once above. This is a 15-minute. If this closes underneath, I think it's confirmation that it's one of those chop, pop, and fade type of deals. But until that happens, it is what it is. I'm looking low. I have a low of the day bid for IBIT. If we get that, great. If I see us cross 37.3, I'm going to move my trail as it follows it along to the downside. And then DoorDash, one of the earnings names, I said I would prefer it if it retested the trend line and then hit the low. Well, it's not doing the hit the low part. So it might do this trend break at VWAP, which I'm not a gigantic fan of, because that's going long right underneath the volume weighted average price on the bounce. Don't like it. You could still retest the low for that to set up a little bit better, as that's still looking weak. And it's weak relative to the market. Like, the market is gently, slowly trending up. DoorDash is rather dramatically trending down. So a long setup here has to look really, really good over there on DoorDash. And I would say the same thing if you were interested in like Figma. Like, Figma is almost like a Hail Mary. It's holding volume weighted average price, but that's almost too wild. ONDS, which is a small capper that we liked yesterday. I'm looking for this to finally look good above yesterday's highs. It's just not doing it. It's still putting in some lower highs. Would like to see it put in some higher lows and hold the prior day tops, which is about $11.20. It's still failing that area over and over again. But I do like the daily chart on ONDS. I like it for a potential continuation play. It's just not yet setting up for this long, which is fine. It's a small capper. Sometimes the midday is the best for these types of continuations. That was certainly true yesterday on Ondis over there. Okay, so Dash actually looking a little bit strong. Ondis not really giving me anything. Commodity King says look at iPath. UiPath? I just said iPath.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not. Yuck. Well, maybe Kathy's buying some more of this, and that could give it a reason to go higher. Didn't even realize this was down around $11. I'm not seeing any real price action that makes any sense. I don't know of even a catalyst on UiPath. So Commodity King, why the interest in UiPath? Doesn't seem like it's doing much at all today. I can't figure that one out. Lemonade, I just heard in my ear. Oh,
did you hear it was a tasty treat?
You're short?
Lemonade.
If you're short, that's a very tasty one for you. Now down 5%. These gap ups on earnings have been dumpster fires this morning. Figma was a dumpster fire. Dash was bad, but I guess not a dumpster fire. Lemonade, that is nasty. This is exactly what you don't want to see after earnings. There's going to be a swing short in this if it breaks the 200 period moving average. If this loses a 200, there will be a potential nasty fallback. And I say this as someone who used to own this stock and kind of liked the business, but it doesn't matter now.
Okay, so things falling down, everything's going good, but Walmart going up. So, you know, we have 10%, we have 12% left of this stock, and we actually identified, so I think we're doing pretty good, man. I mean, we identified that this was gonna be a hold there, and, you know, was able to get out and just hold that last 10%. So, you know, I feel like that was a good call right there. We're gonna continue to make those. You know, looking for Palantir, again, like, just realizing that it's not really getting through this 135, so just more outs here on Palantir. My next bid is 134.85, hoping for a whoosh down into this 50 period moving average. Maybe we can get that, and then if we're lucky enough, then we basically can empty it all out if we get back to VWAP 134. So that would be great if that were to happen. So those are sort of my targets there for that name. Walmart, we talked about that, the TQs. Okay, well, where's my next bid here? So I still have that 70 bid, but this is a nice little fall down. So let's bid out some now at 90s. Let's put a bid there, get filled. And then now we'll wait for a little lower. I was sitting, we should probably sit at VWAP, but let's see if we get a VWAP break into this area 71. So it's a good thing we just took that out, by the way. So yeah, this is the choppy market that we've come to expect right now. It's kind of going back and forth. We can check out what silver and gold is doing to see if there's any sort of like, okay, we went short on silver, small hit on that one, but it is my biggest hit of the day, SLV. You know, the problem is the shorting rate there. All of these shorts are completely fine. You made money there, stopped out there, but getting involved on that break, thinking that it was going lower. Mistake over there, and then gold as well, probably upside there today. I mean, I did not buy any of this most recent dip in gold. But looks like now today up 0.5% and seeing where we're going from there. So just a quick look to see if there's anything else going on in the broader markets. So we'll pull this down. This is our S&P 500 watch list. Look, man, there's less than 5 days away right now before you're going to be able to get involved with Trader TV Live Academy. So pay attention to that, man. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get notifications. Come back, check us out in 5 days. It's going to be a complete course. Understanding the markets, understanding how our journey landed us to where we are. So you're gonna wanna figure that out for yourself, hopefully, and part of that is gonna be the course. So also continued mentorship and updates and everything coming on that course. You'll be sick of Neil and I, Sharif and Brendan, by the time that course is done as well. So, you know, that's perfect. If you want to hear us and listen to what we've been talking about, I think it's well worth the look for you guys on the Trader TV Live Academy. But now the market's starting to fall back in as we got Eli Lilly. There's Nvidia, did make new highs. Now it's only down. Now it's down 0.22. We can have a quick look at that. Apple not helping the market out. Interesting to see Microsoft up today when everything else is red, all the other Mag 7s. But is there really a Mag 7 anymore? I mean, all 7 of them have completely different trajectories and different stories to tell, right? Amazon, Meta, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, and where's Tesla right there. So there's a completely different sort of dichotomy of direction now in the Mag 7. You can't, I don't think you just want to like hold all of them. They all have different reasons potentially why you may like or dislike the Mag 7, but you always got to like dollar clubs, and there it is right there on Palantir. So we just took that out at 85. We said that's where we were bidding. It just came through there, so that's a 134.85 fill. That's a big one, man. Putting our day green. We've talked about that again. But yeah, the S&P 493, a little more dominant this year and last year than the rest of the Mag 7. So SP 493 right now, the big one. And there goes the TQ. So see you later right now. 48.71s. We put another bid here just to get it. We are still waiting for 75s, but without getting too greedy, we'll see if we can get that now. 81, give it to me, and there it is. Yes, sir. So we're so far so good, man. We're really rocking and rolling now. So far, so good here as we hold on to these shorts all morning long.
And rocking and rolling as well are names like SMCI, Tesla, and Walmart, which are at the top of the visualizer. I want to remind everybody, Farm Trader, you just put KNRX in the chat. Next time, if you do $KNRX, which I'm going to do right now. Ooh, there's rhyme. I remember that from yesterday.
Ripping
last couple
your
of days.
rhyme, yeah.
I rip and I rhyme, I rhyme and I rip. There's KNRX. Coke. Come on, that's not the ticker for Coke. You guys know what it is. No, but the visualizer allows us to look at the names and talk about the names that you guys and all viewers are interested in. HIMS actually flat now after all those gains, near the top of the list. Just throw them in there. I see silver. There's Micron. We talked a little bit about SNDK. I'm a little surprised, actually, and I'm glad I looked at this, to see HIMS give up the entirety of the move. You've got to be kidding me. What is wrong with this stock? In that it gets positive news and flushes to the downside. That is what it does, it seems like, over and over again. If there's a stock that cannot hold on to positive gains, like HIMS, every single time this has popped up, my 15 is not going to go back. Here we go. Now you can see there's pop up, die, pop up, die, pop up, die, pop up, die.
Elon.
Short the pops, everybody, on HIMS. That is a good way to look smart, I guess. Unfortunate for HIMS. But again, that stock has been in a downward trend for a while. It is what it is. It's a short till it's not. All right, so Dash, it's a little bit further away. It's now trending back into the low, but it's a little further away from the volume weighted average price. It is setting up that potential long where I can give it to this local bottom. Not quite yet on DoorDash. Up 3%, but that's a ways away from where it was at the open. We're trading at 190. Now we're underneath the 180 level. So there's plenty of room for this to get back to the upside. It just hasn't really shown me that setup at all. And PMAC just put in SoFi in the chat. You know, I had this on my iPad, but I knew, yeah, it's nowhere close. I knew this wasn't going to happen. I said this yesterday. I'm taking a 20 break if it happens, but it's not looking remotely strong enough for that 20 break in SoFi. I wish it was.
There's a bear cave report on Yelp. Yeah, just again, I mean, just talking about it's probably been a thing of the past, right? I mean,
I agree.
Right now there's Google reviews, and when you're looking up restaurants, there's many different bloggers and all that kind of stuff right now that review restaurants. And if you're fancy like Brendan, then you eat elk and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't know if he's using Yelp or not, but you know, this is the thing. Like right now with Instagram and very many other social medias that do have food-based sources, you know, I don't know what Yelp is all about, but there is a bear cave report. We'll wait for Adara on that one. Not much volume on that, Adara, so I don't really know what to expect on that one. All right, man.
Yeah,
go ahead.
All I'm seeing here, just problems at Yelp, pretty general. It's like paid subscribers, and a lot of these, like I know there's places you can get around the paid subscribers, but on stuff like Substack, you really can't. So either way here, just letting you guys know, YELP, as Sean mentioned, bear cave report. I'm not even seeing anyone I follow mention this, so pretty small potatoes, at least as of right now.
Here we go. This is actually pretty funny because I'm glad that I brought it up. Here it is, Yelp. Someone said Brendan eats at Yelp, you know, instead of Yelp, because he had elk there instead of Yelp right there, and there it is there. So shout out to everybody there. Interesting.
We have just infinitely, probably the only 10 times you've seen elk talked about were all this morning.
Yes, exactly. So shout out to
I don't think I've ever had elk.
that fine
Real?
protein.
You guys tell me, I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably
tastes
very,
like chicken?
probably very. No, it's like gamey, right?
Yeah, well, I would expect so. I've just never had it.
Yeah. What's up, Adara?
But now you're in CORT and TEVA, though I believe CORT, definitely moving more on this. So this company is Corcept. Federal Circuit affirming that there was a no infringement win for Teva over Corcept with regards to their mifepristone dosing with strong CYP3A inhibitors. So basically, the Federal Circuit affirming that Corcept failed to show doctors would actually practice the patented dosing methods based, or even if Teva's generic launched. So CORT, again, losing this Federal Circuit decision, TEVA winning out, but CORT definitely the one that's moving on this news. Back to you.
Court. Okay, never heard of that name, but obviously working to the downside, and great job there, Adara, explaining that story. I'm going to take a bit at Walmart, 129.50. I mean, the market's turned itself on its head a little bit, now trying to go back up to the upside. We just talked about it being relatively flat days now, and there it goes to the upside. So I just wanted to show you that we are taking basically, I actually just tried to get 30s there. I don't know how we got missed. Am I not at 30? Oh, I'm at 33. Oh, that would have been so good. But that's okay. We'll see what happens now. Anyways, futures makes a move higher. I was literally at 33 this high. Remember, I'm going to stop out at 40, so we're getting pretty close to said stop out. But yeah, missed that opportunity. Darn it. Would have liked to get some more shares there. We're just going to see if we get some more out at 49.02 down here near the lows as we continue to sort of support that short. The stock I wanted to sort of talk about was Palantir. This is very strong. Like we didn't even, like it pulls back into the 50 and then just rips on that move. So very, very cautiously trading this name now. If we can get another 135 down there, I think we'll start to exit out of our trade. Let's put a 135.30 fill and then just start to ease out of it. I mean, look, we got to take 50 cents. Our stop is still going to be 50 cents. But good news, man. We only have about 25% left. So this is going to be a good trade. Darn us missing that top. We'll see if we can get that again. Yeah, Microsoft. Oh, hack. Yeah, I saw someone, you know, that reminds me. Let's go over to PanW. Shout out to you guys in the chat. What's up, Manifest Codes now? Yeah, look, boom. We said this was going to be a 2-day rule, you know, 3-day rule, PanW. I think that's true of pretty much all the stocks that we look at, right? I mean, you want to make sure that you do have a rule in place. And one day, so yesterday we had a downside play on PanW. I think they reported, was it Monday night? What day is today?
It's Thursday. So
Tuesday night. So it's a Wednesday, Thursday. So this is really just day 2. But look at this, man. It looks like you're trying to break a little bit lower now. And that's why, so good call out on the hack ETF. The other one was CIBR. So that cyber is another one. So hack
That might not be down because CrowdStrike's up today.
That's what I was trying to look to see. And this is why you may just want to honestly stick with the names that stick with ETFs rather than individual names, you know, because like Palo Alto's down 2%, but if you do like the whole space, you still do get some runoff.
I prefer CrowdStrike though.
Yeah,
I wanted CrowdStrike on a
research
dip buy.
you have, yeah.
I wanted PanW's move down to give an entry, a re-entry into some shares of CrowdStrike. It's just not happening. CrowdStrike refuses to get to the downside. But what refuses to die completely is Bitcoin. It's putting in a lower high. It's either, I didn't actually move the stop down. I trailed some at VWAP here, but now on the way back up, if it can put in this lower high at 3770-ish, then we can look for an entry point, but hasn't really gotten to that point yet. DoorDash is still trending to the downside here. Hasn't really definitively broken the trend line, hasn't retested the low for a break. Like still nothing crazy happening on Dash. And I've seen Rhyme in here a couple of times. So this is going again. These guys are that shipping logistics company, and it's failed 3 days in a row about this 325 level. Obviously, this is a pretty big level. If it gets through 340, and 350, that could be a retake for the breakout. Like you like these kind of consolidations, like sideways action after it's looking like it's dumped on the other side. But if you don't really break out this 340, there's nothing gigantic that can happen on Rhyme. So you got to watch out for that one for sure. So here comes IBIT. I didn't move this, like I said, didn't move the stop. It's still at that 37.75 level. If it doesn't topping tail, then I'm just going to jump out of that one and the short's going to be done. Because it hasn't been a good short day, is what it is. Like it hasn't been a good one. It's been red. That said, at least we're not red more than our positive days the rest of this month. So that's a good way to look at it. But there has been no follow through to the lows. Like I can't remember. Well, it's not. I shouldn't say that because, I mean, IBIT got back to the lows. It just happened at 2 o'clock yesterday. So not completely done yet on IBIT. Shouldn't be giving up. Looking for that reload as we get it, but I need to see a little topping tail candle. Then we'll jump back in to the shares that we already covered. I just heard that we're going to Dare. It's 10:40. That probably means sector watch.
Let's talk here about the sector board because it's kind of mixed and a little bit confused. Energy minerals to the upside here. Again, we have these ongoing tensions with the U.S. and Iran, and Occidental also helping out the sector up a cool 7%, and that's actually removed from its highs as we do have its earnings report that came out yesterday. Utilities strong, communications very strong here. T-Mobile up 2%, same with Verizon. Producer manufacturing doing quite well here. LRCX and AMAT pulling back, but Caterpillar, GEV, and especially John Deere up 11% at all-time highs, hanging out around 660 after earnings. Let's move on here to some sectors that are a little bit weak. Finance to the downside as a group. BX Blackstone down about 6%. Health tech red as well. Consumer non-durables pretty weak. Consumer services to the downside with Booking Holdings notably down 8%. After earnings. I want to talk here about electronic tech and tech services because the Meg 7s in these sectors, notably all 5 of the Meg 7s within these 2 sectors, totally flat. However, within the sectors, if you look beyond the Meg 7s, there are some interesting trends. Some of these defense plays within electronic tech are doing quite well, GE and LMT. But if you go down to tech services, you still have that SaaS weakness up. ACN notably down about 5% today. You've got Cadence Systems. This is day 2 earnings down about 3%. So defense seems doing well in electronic tech, but a lot of the other non-defense tech names struggling a bit this session. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Adara, for some of that look. I mean, I really like, as far as, you know, some defense, we saw, what was it, Air France or whatever was down today?
Airbus.
Airbus. So Boeing downside, but I really think that this is a stock that, you know, probably needs, I'm already long this name. We bought some at 200 and we were pretty lucky that it wound up coming back off. We bought it right there on this 200 period dip. Once that had happened, and then it goes all the way to 175, and we just kind of let it breathe, then it makes a move back to the high side again. So I think if this can come back in one more time into the 200 period moving average, that's probably a buy. So I mean, I like Boeing for myself, and if we can get back into that area, we talked about industrial names and manufacturing. So Boeing has, sometimes it has the sort of the ebbs and flows there of what we talk about. defense, plus the push through on travel has been pretty strong. We've seen, some of the airlines like the Jets ETF continues to be relative. I mean, I haven't looked at this in a minute, but we just had earnings and they were pretty strong for the airlines. So yeah, there it goes. So Jets ETF, pretty healthy, right? This is basically this is like the Mag 7 for airlines, right? So they got them all in there. All the top 5 are like almost like 80% or whatever of the weighting. So yeah, nice move there for Jets. So I think there's some possibilities to come through for that. All right, we're just gonna wait on the short to see if it does wind up printing. We do have, of course, the locator out here. Oh no, where is it? I don't even have it up anymore to see what, oh, here it is. What's leading the way right now? Yeah, still Nvidia, Micron, Tesla. These are all the big names. Is this not refreshed? I don't know. If I refresh
there we go.
There we go.
Because Walmart's been up at the top.
I've never actually refreshed that. It's always worked. But yeah, so Walmart's a good stock, man. We're still 70 cents in the money, so that's a good one. We'll go a face slapper on Walmart. That was tough because it does break 130 early. We got stopped out, then we got right back in again there as well. Him's a good stock. Has been really volatile, right? Especially after that Super Bowl. They had that Super Bowl commercial, and the very next day, Novo Nordisk smacked them with that, stop selling sort of that fake stuff over there. There's a story there. I'm not going to bash it or not. I don't know it as well enough. Nvidia was pretty green. Occidental's the big one, man, breaking through that $50 mark, up 7%. So something really interesting to look at there. Figma, wow, only now up 2%. So that could be another name off of earnings. One stock, Walmart, goes one way. The other stock, Figma, going the other way here today. So 24.80. Okay, well, it does basically give it all back and goes red, actually, at one point. Figma was real nice, off earnings, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, wait a second, is this really the stock that we want to own? And the answer to that is no, and people actually sold it below yesterday's earnings call price, right? So we were there right at the close. We were at 24.50. We got to 23.50, bouncing and almost flat on the day now for Figma. So that name's not doing a whole heck of a lot. The name that we bought and then now is flat again. Glad we got out of Robinhood because of, it made that move back in. But look at that, man. There's the 200 period hold. So should have been there for that and weren't. So a couple missed opportunities back in. But it's 10:41. Pretty soon we'll talk about what's for lunch. I have an appointment this afternoon. I even think you know that. Obi will be here for the final 2 hours of the day. So that'll be good.
I have to call the place for my daughter's birthday today.
Okay, good.
Confirm the details. Go to there's like a laser tag.
Yes,
mini
laser
putt
tag
place.
is so fun.
So we're going to one of those.
Is that today or when?
No, it's on the weekend. But I'm supposed to, whatever. You know how many people are showing up, all that kind of nonsense.
Beautiful.
But laser tag is a heck of a lot of fun. I love laser tag.
Yes.
The simple pleasures in life.
Yes, there are some nice laser tag places. Yeah.
Well, and she loves mini putt, but this is one of those like glow mini putts.
Yeah, because they're all in the same building, right?
I like my mini putt outdoors, and like the whole glow one when it's all like dark. It's fun novelty, but I prefer the better. The courses aren't nearly as good. I'm just going to quickly remind everybody about ONDS. So it does eventually hold VWAP, but not in a consolidative way, in a rip your face off kind of way. Like this is it bouncing off the volume weighted average price. The next candle goes like a couple of percentage points, but we've now got 2 points. If it comes back into the trend, here's what it did yesterday. And I get that this is not as steep, but it just kept on trending. Pull back high, pull back high. So if it fulfills that pattern, I'm going to join said pattern on ONDS. Probably should have been back at this one after it was as good as it was in yesterday's trade, but that's fine. 4% to the upside for ONDS, and it looks really good on the daily, breaking a trend on the daily. So I think this is a long until proven otherwise on ONDS. DoorDash might actually be setting up finally a little bit better here. So there's the consolidation. Now all of a sudden we can break out at VWAP on DoorDash. So it broke the trend, but without retesting that low. But it's looking a little bit better for a trend break above the volume weighted average price. Starting to look a little bit stronger. Trip just said Rocket Lab is going to the moon. We have a graphic for that. Where's my moon graphic? There it is. I know Ramin will be happy because she has picked. Well, it's both ASTS and Rocket Lab. It's not just one.
Ooh.
Why get one when you can have two?
Yes.
Hey, speaking of the 50-period moving average,
valid question.
I just said that it was a good chart on ONDS because it was breaking out of the downtrend and taking the 50-period. Well, have a look at that. And this on the heels of Elon Musk literally saying that within 30 months, and I know deadlines and Elon Musk have not been the best thing in the world, within 30 months, we will have data centers in space. 2.5 years. I believe it will happen. Whether it's in 30 months or not, who knows? But it's
30 months?
It's too logical for it not to happen. I mean, obviously, if you can literally have solar-powered data centers in space, not drawing on the grids, given the demand that we have now, obviously that would be a good thing. If we're 2.5 years away, I think that would be amazing if true. I don't believe it's that close, but I'm certainly rooting for Elon to pull it off. Another reason why SpaceX is the jam when it comes out. Dara, what do you have?
So you guys know KHC on the move a little bit here. As you can see, a little bit of action. You have the CEO of the company, Steve Cahillane, speaking on CNBC, saying that he is in favor of preserving the optionality of a split going forward. So Kraft Heinz CEO, KHC CEO, basically saying that he is open to considering at some point in the future a business split with Kraft and Heinz. Back to you.
Wind up doing. We're just saying, like, I think they could probably get these data centers in space now, but I mean, how effective would they be, and what would be the purpose of them?
It can't cost too much.
They can ship anything they want up there, but you got to have the use case for that. I mean, I don't know, how do you power them? And I mean, there's going to be a whole bunch of different things to deal with right there. Maybe small modular reactors, a name like Oklo or SMR could be in place. So, all right, we did reload a little bit there. Okay, we get an 82 fill, so we'll go, we're reloaded. Where's that stupid button? It's not it right there. Anyways, it's starting to come back in, so this is a good one there. We're reloaded. Okay, there it is. So yeah, nice little move there off of 136. So this is the we've already posted it up here on X, right, where we just commented about how this is the Palantir 136 area. So we're short right now at 136. So we took it multiple times. It's going to be the #1 trade idea on the list, and this time we actually follow our rules on the sticky note, which is great, and that's putting us to a well-positive day. So there it goes. Let's see how much we can fall down on Palantir. We'll take a little bit more out there in the 60s. We do have another bit in the 50s, but so far so good. Let's fire off the glizzy cannon right there as we celebrate for a nice move down. Let's go Palantir. Let's get going just a little bit lower there. Don't get one of those glizzies in the face, man. That might hurt. But here comes also as well. Look at Walmart. That's also $1 now in the money and going just a tad bit lower. Let's take out another fill there as it finally breaks down. So yeah, so far so good. I'm at the highest spot I've been at all day. And yeah, it's a good one. So let's see what winds up happening here. I'm still bidding 53s on Walmart. Our stop on this trade, man, was 136.20. We've talked about that a couple times. So yeah, to take 50 cents right there on this trade, that's a banger. That's a face slapper. Bye-bye Palantir. Let's see how low we can go. Also a couple outs on the TQs here. I'm not sure what the futures want to do. What's up, Adara?
Let's talk here about this US dollar. I'll switch to a daily chart. As you can see, we actually briefly broke out of this level of resistance that we had going back to last week, that 97.8. We got above 98 here, just above 98 at the high, trading just below 98.1. Now we're pulling back a little bit here for the DXY. Now the CME FedWatch tool has changed not at all from this time yesterday. In terms of March, there's still just a 94.1% of participants there expecting that we will have rates held in place. So no major changes to the CME FedWatch tool, but I do want to go over, I know Brendan and Sharif mentioned it this morning, but I want to go over once again the FOMC minutes from that January 28th decision, which was a rate hold. So apparently several participants commented that further downward adjustments to the target range for the Fed funds rate could be appropriate if they do have declining inflation in line with their expectations. However, there seemed to be a lot of disagreement in terms of the speed at which to go, with some participants saying that they thought it would be worth it to hold the policy rate steady. And we actually had some Feds saying they would consider hiking the rate potentially if inflation kind of got worse or continued to be bad, to the point where they actually wanted the potential hike to be reflected in the rate statement. So long story short, as Brendan said this morning, it's really all over the place. And I think that's reflected by the fact that we've had at least one dissent in now 5 Fed meetings straight. Let's see if March 18th, 2026 marks the 6th straight meeting of Fed dissent. We still have about a month from yesterday to go until we find out. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. As always, we just blew through VWAP, but not to the local bottoms here on IBIT. So we got one fill, but not a second one. SMCI, which did have a spike this morning, is starting to pull back. So here is a bit of an upward trend that was on. It looks like it's breaking trend. On a 15-minute, these lines make a heck of a lot more sense, but suffice to say, it's between 31.75 and 32. There's a resistance spot on SMCI. So as it's breaking trend, looking for the short here and play it back into this 31.92. So for the first time today, and again, there was a huge spike all morning long in SMCI. I know the market's not moving as much as SMCI is, but this was not on a definitive news story that we could find. So I was waiting for an opportunity for this to actually look a little bit weaker, double top, hopefully breaking that trend line here on SMCI. And yeah, I know it's dead cat bouncing, but if you had a nickel for every time this thing bounced off $30, you wouldn't be rich, but you'd have a few. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to follow through when it does. So just need this to close underneath, then short to with the out of 31.95, let's just say. And if we bounce again on IBIT, I am offering at this now double top here, about 31.70s again. So looking to continue to play that short, and SMCI going to be a new entrant.
All right, wow. Like we were saying, what a difference a day makes, man. Today we are just pumping through the winners. The TQs, the Palantir, like everything is just really, as a percentage of risk to reward and everything like that today's been the day for me, just really going off and just sitting here being very, very patient. And we talked about discipline, right? You're going to talk about the Trader TV Live Academy. It's about following your rules. There's Palantir at the top, right? We had silver short. We got out of that one. That was 71 short. We can have a quick look back to see what that's doing right now. 71 shorts. Walmart, we shorted that. That's going to be a big one. The 126 was not valid, man. That ripped through that early. So we waited for 130 and then banked on that one. Glizzy Cannon again. And then the TQQ short, man, we nailed that trade as well, almost to the exact penny. There goes Palantir right now. Oh boy, do we ever have the winner on this one. This was 20 cents worth of risk right here. Now it's in the money 130 as that continues to go lower, as does the TQQ. So, very, 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 very big on the winning side of this Palantir trade, to the point where we're just going to get another piece out right now. Down goes Palantir, down goes the futures as well. Right into VWAP, we're starting to cover a little bit. Let's see how nasty this day can get, man. It could get a lot more than what it is right here. But we're going to figure out what's for lunch now, because, we've been really aggressive with today's trade. So we're going to find out what is for lunch right now here today, February 19th. Okay, so we're going to call that up. Yesterday, of course, if I remember, we had pork fajitas, which were mistakenly marked as chicken by our staff. I hope nobody had some and thought it was chicken. Okay. Yeah. Today is, and I had this yesterday as well. I don't know, I must be on a no pork meal. I don't know. I got salmon instead, which is today's lunch.
Oh, but okay.
Today's flag is the Canadian flag. It's lemon, and the salmon here is really great, I think.
But why is it a Canadian flag then?
I don't make the flags, my guy. BC salmon is excellent. Neil.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I love salmon, and we get,
Okay, so that's probably why it's Canadian. Mashed potatoes, I think it's a Canadian dish. Salmon? Yeah, why not? Mashed potatoes, that's Canadian. Seasoned veg, mixed green salad. Oh, that's what's for lunch right there. Not bad, I think. I mean, normally it's the protein is the one that, you're questioning, and they do salmon. I think, well, I mean, sometimes it's maybe a bit over, but at least it's not under and it's not tilapia. So we win today on that one.
I got to answer a question from AC Boards in the chat. Hopefully resistance is not futile, but the Trader TV Live Academy is in 5 days. So if you're already looking to sign up, which you were just asking, it is live in 5 days. That is the 24th. It is Tuesday, not Monday, on Tuesday. So Trader TV Live Academy goes live on Tuesday, February the 24th. We are 5 days away from that. And glad to see there's already some interest. But yep, Borg are even welcome. They may be the bad guys in Star Trek, but you guys are welcome too. Oh my goodness, I finally got my 4,000 piece Starship Enterprise Lego that my brother got it for me for my birthday and for Christmas. He went halvesies on it. I bought the other half because that's what I do. But I have not started it just yet. I'm looking forward to it. So SMCI is actually holding the trend. It's not breaking. It's holding the trend. ONDS with 3 minutes to go. ONDS is pulling back into the trend line. I feel like this could be a little bit more imminent. If it can manage to bounce the way it has the last 2 times it's tested, then that would be a place to join the long. This is what Ondas did yesterday. It basically it pulled back and gave you 1, 2, 3, 4 times on trend. Eventually was a good short if it broke. We're just looking for it to hold here, and then we'll try the long in ONDS. Looking pretty strong. I saw Drop System say Shopify is at the high today. That's pretty good. Shopify has been a... what's the word I want to use here? I want to be diplomatic about this. It has been relatively weak for Shopify, but it has not lost the bid since earnings. That's a good sign. It's really held on to that 110 level. It's not doing anything with it, but it's still holding on to that 110 level, up a couple of points today. I'm rooting for you, Shopify, because we don't get many. But that is like it's like the current, you can't really you call it tech, I suppose, a little bit, their company in Canada, which is if you had that #1 title, it's not usually the best. Shout out to you, RIM, and shout out to you, Nortel. It's not a title you want to hold.
No, you want to hold it.
Well, you want to hold it.
That is for sure.
You just, it doesn't come with a good history.
No. So let's. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, those are.
They're
Nortel,
better names.
Look, man, Nortel and all those in RIM, those are just badly managed companies, and hopefully they'll be able to have a little bit of a different situation with Shopify.
Oh, RIM was also pretty
yeah, RIM. That's what I was saying. BlackBerry RIM, not the greatest looks over there for sure. Okay, guys, with only a minute and a half left, just a review, man. I mean, my stops are still in, and if they trigger, they trigger. We just cashed out. Like when you're getting moves down to VWAP and like that move in Palantir there, you know, you got to take some out, but we still have our stops in place. If they hit, they hit. Other than that, man, it's going to be just a relatively slow day. I feel like we don't have too much. I mean, look at the futures. Like the fact that we're having a pretty decent day today, just means that we've been patient, waited for these levels to hit. But doesn't it look like it may be strong? I mean, we keep bouncing off VWAP. Market's trading above VWAP, and whenever that happens, generally speaking, you know, we can hold, especially at this time. So let's wait to see if that is the problem. Every time we've come in back into the downside here is since basically 10 o'clock, we've bounced nicely off of the volume-weighted average price. So, yeah, nothing to really see here for now. Hopefully the market will have a little bit more of a dramatic move. We've got Joe back. We've got Sharif here. They're going to be talking all about the midday madness, and that should be a lot of fun for everybody involved. So, you know, excited to hear what they have to say. Thanks to Dara for all the news drops today, although there wasn't too many of them. We did have President Trump talking, so there's always some excitement when he's there. And yes, Sharif, we do say get it to Donald because it was.
Get it done.
It was
one last thing before we go over.
Yeah, of course.
Also to TLPYO. TLPYO. I don't know what to do with that name. How do we sign up for Trader Academy?
You don't.
Look, everything will be revealed on Tuesday, February the 24th. That is the release. You can't sign up now because we haven't released it yet. 5 days, February 24th. That is next Tuesday. Thank you for asking, and we'll continue to throw it up there. Well, usually when I'm talking about it, you can see it on the slide. That's absolutely fine. But it's only 5 days till Trader TV Academy goes live, and that's when you'll be able to check it out. We're going to enjoy some salmon today. If it was good yesterday, I'm sure it's going to be good again today.
It'll probably be the same one.